V8 veterans tonight, round number 8, split number 1 and split number 2. It's a triple header tonight. Let's get into it. V8 racing at its best here live on RACESTARS TV. Welcome to Zolder, folks, for tonight's replay broadcast of split 1 and split 2. Like I said, a triple header tonight because we're going split 1, split 2 and then straight across to Wodonga Karts and Parts for the split 3 event as well tonight. So huge night of racing. Sit back, relax, get yourself some beers, some chippies, whatever you need to get through tonight. But it should be excellent racing, no doubt, here for round number 8 of the V8 Vets Championship season number 11. Let's head down to the grid now as the drivers get set to get away for this top split. The best of the best here. Stuart Hall grabs pole position tonight for Nova Motorsport. And Greg Favell starts alongside him for Taipan Events. We'll need to just update that at Taipan eSports. Out of P2 tonight, Mark Duggan. Out of 3 with Dan Hall alongside Nitschke and Sharp. Round out your third row of the grid with Can, Smart, Young and Byrne. Your top 10. Jason Spriggs will kick off 11th tonight with Tim Nicol alongside him. 12th and 13th then goes to Richie with Varga alongside him. Van de Kran and Rook Koistra rounding out your top 16. Heddershield and McCune right down in 18th place tonight with Visma and Kennedy rounding out your top 20. 21st, Preston and Crosby. Then it's Norris and Stewart down in 24th place on the grid. 25th tonight, Goosey and Horton, and it's Favell, Raj. We've got race control. They won't be there on the grid, of course. Dave Coleman as well in the safety car. We've got then Hansen and O'Brien down there in 32nd position. Shannon and Viger down to 34th, right to the rear of the grid. They are your drivers taking part in tonight's race as they grid up and get set to go racing. And you can see on pole position for the Nova Motorsport, it is Stuart Hall, which is a fantastic job. And we just got a slight delay because it is a replay file. Slight delay on the liveries coming through tonight. Hopefully the ones that aren't showing correctly will be there very, very soon as the cars get painted in real time for us tonight. So like I said, round number 8 taking us to this older circuit, and it is the first round where they've brought in the new compulsory 3-stop compulsory pit stops tonight. So a little bit different, and the drivers, just to run you through the rules and an update from Ben Anthony, was a starting fuel 60 litres. They must complete 3 compulsory pit stops with tyre changes, unlimited tank size for refueling, which means you can put a lot of fuel in at the first stop, but you'll need to still make those 2 stops later in the race. And the pit window opens from the end of lap 1, and you must be completed before the end of lap 45. So there's a few little tips for tonight's race, which could be a little bit different. We've got Jacob Neasley in the house. Margaret Favell's there as well, saying, "Come on, Greg." And Ben Anthony says, "Vargs is drunk already." I guess that's the beauty of having the replay on a Friday night, is you can sit back, relax, and watch. And Steve Varga is in the house. He says, "Yes, I'm started as soon as I got home every day at 5. G'day, Luke. G'day, mate. Nice to have you watching." And Stephen Murray's in the house too. So, did you shout him at the pub, Ben? Well, who knows? Let's get set to go racing. I think we've now got most of the paints on the car. So Nova Motorsport's having 2 drivers in the top 3. Fantastic job. Mark Duggan's been on true form and getting right back into the action. You can see Greg Favell for Taipan eSports starting out of P2. He's been super strong and is really flying the flag now for Taipan eSports since moving across from 76 Racing. Christian Smart inside the top 10. We get set to go racing. Remember, Jamie McKnight has a week off this week due to a 1-race ban. Let's get the green though. Let's get underway. V8 Supercar action. It's a slow start from Duggan. Didn't get away off the line very well at all. He's dropped back a couple of spots. Nitschke up 2 spots. We've got a crash heading down towards turn 1, unfortunately. And who's that involved? Looks like one of the Vigers has maybe spun around at the front though. It's Stuart Hall leading as we look back. Hall just leading Favell. Nitschke is tucked in there as well. And then you've got Dan Hall, Cans, Sharp, Smart. Young's made up a position. Tim Nicol made up 3 positions on that opening getaway to be up now in the top 10. 9th place for him. Race control straight away on the blower as the top 2 just make a little bit of contact there. Greg Favell moves his way through into the lead of the race now. Great overtake, and he heads over the hump for the first time down into this big sweeping left-hander. Another heavy braking zone to tuck through the right now. The right-left flop. We've got no further action there between Richie and Van der Kran and Anthony Visma it was on lap 1. So a little three-way as Paul Young, I think, is gone for an excursion. Where's Young? We're trying to pick him up as he falls down the order. He's way off the track. and he comes back on now, rear of field. So sadly, that's an opening lap disaster for him. It is Faveldo leading 76 Racing ex-driver. Across now at Type N Events. As I said, we've got to update that on the fly. For some reason, it's come back. It's come back. The old team name's come back to haunt him, but he'd be very proud of what he did with 76 Racing. And of course now heads across to Type N eSports, crosses the line half a second in the lead, does a 1:33 from a standing start. No further action involving car 923, that's Dan Hall and Damien Cairns on lap 1. No further action there. Nitschke in third place now in that beautifully turned out frog lead juiced racing car. Tucks in onto the back of Stuart Hall. You can see the race leader up ahead, currently in a podium position and looking very, very good in this opening couple of laps. Will Wilson's in the house. How are you, mate? What was McKnight banned for? He says. Well, I'll let Jamie, if he comes on, tell you. He had a bit of a spray, post-race spray, and I think he was given an automatic one race suspension. We love Jamie, but he had to sit this one out, sadly, because he's been a huge part of the series. But rules be rules, and you pay for your little mistakes. As we see Cairns then sharp and smart. Smart really moving along nicely here, up 2 spots into 6th, and all over the back of Greg Sharp at this stage of the race. Thanks, Deb, for the stars, and also who else was there? There was another one I just saw flash up on the screen. Oh, Eddie, you legend. Thank you, mate. And hello, Sean, as well. Welcome aboard tonight for this big double header. I've got to have my energy up tonight. I was out all last night, work commitments, 12 hours again today, and then coming home now to fire this up before I fly off interstate tomorrow. So it's trying to put all the energy back into this sim racing tonight. I'm going to love it because I think it's going to be a real way of comparing split 1 and split 2 tonight, doing it back to back. There's only going to be about a 5-minute interchange period where we load up the new replay file. So very, very good. And it's going to be a matter of comparing everything right down to the lap times. How good does the Jason Spriggs car look there? And he's gone across to Type N Events or eSports as well by the looks of things. That livery is, oh, was that Mark Duggan going around? So Duggan has made a bit of contact there with Spriggs, and he's rotated the car. He's on blower to race control. Race control saying something back. So for him, it's going to drop him right to the end of the order as well. So Favel out in front and flying at this stage. A few Red Bulls there, Luke. Sounds like the way to go, I reckon. As we watch Favel once again flop over those chicanes and continue to eke out this lead to 1.4 seconds on lap 3. 50 laps tonight, so 3 pit stops required. It's going to be a key issue tonight because it's brand new to a lot of the drivers. They're so used to doing the 2-stop strategy. As Paul Preston, PRA's gone around sad. Oh, and an unsafe rejoin there. He just tagged Darren Shannon. Don't think it did too much damage to the side of his car, but there was definitely some contact as he rejoined the race circuit there. We'll keep an eye on these guys fighting their way down the back end of the circuit. So well, you just got to be a little bit careful on those rejoins. It's very easy to make contact and get yourself a penalty, and that's never what you want in this type of racing. Got a drive-through penalty for Jason Spriggs for the incident that we just saw with Mark Duggan. So the stewards have looked upon that one and said that it was worthy of a drive-through penalty, sadly, for Jason Spriggs. So he'll have to go and pay the price for that. Drive through the pit lane and then come back out and get back into the racing action. Keep your head down. It's a long road. Well, it's 200 Ks tonight, so not as long as many of the races we've had. But this early on, still plenty of time to get back into it because there could be a safety car or two as well. And back with your race leader now, Type N eSports. Well updated whilst talking there, Luke. The number 76, it used to be 76 Racing. Type N eSports are doing a great job. Now 1.4 seconds, we've got a drive-through penalty for Dan Hall for an incident with car 029 Paul Preston. So we saw the remnants of Paul Preston spinning off the racetrack, and that's why Dan Hall has made some contact, and now he will have to go through the pit lane unscheduled for what will make it a 4-stop strategy for him tonight. Although you do not stop on a drive-through penalty, you just drive straight through the pits. There's a look back from Greg Favel. He's been so quick throughout this championship. We'll look at the championship points at the end of tonight's broadcast. And this man doing a 129 now, 129.4 across the line. In fact, it was a 129.9 with the best of a 129.4. He's on fire. Keith's in the house. He says, sorry, I'm late, Luke. Come on, Root. Never too late to jump on and get involved. As you know, Keith, good to see you racing the other night too, mate, as we catch up with Rue Koistra quickly. He's up 5 spots into the top 11 now for the FRG competitor. And as we ride on board with him, you can see Greg Sharp and McCune up the road. The only thing I'm going to miss tonight is the driver cams. We won't have access to them, obviously being on a replay file tonight. But I'm 100% live, so your comments that come through are seen by me and read out by me live as well. Will Wilson says, I saw something this week about Mostert calling for bans. Who knew he was talking about old Jimmy? There you go, eh? So, Rue Koistra getting busy. The biggest mover and shaker in that opening exchange is this man, Brenton O'Brien, up a massive 14 positions for the Logitech G Evolution Racing Team car. Peter, thank you for the stars too, mate. Welcome aboard on a Friday night of a double head V8 Veterans broadcast, and O'Brien now starting to line up Port in the Clutch Kicker racing car and the M1 racing car of Chris Barrage just up the road as well. This is a little bottleneck, but Brenton O'Brien will try and get through as quickly as he can. Horton just disappearing, reappearing. Goosey's behind him as well, trying to stay in check. We've got Stuart Hall just momentarily off the road there for Nova Motorsports. That dropped him back outside of a 2-second bracket now to your race leader. And Nitschke is getting a little bit closer. Look how much they've dropped P4 Christian Smart. 6.6 seconds already from first back to fourth place with Cairns in tow. And then you've got this sort of three-way battle between Nickelburn and Spriggs, who's right on the back of there in the Taipan eSports entry as well. Mark Duggan's in the house with some stars. Thanks, Mark. It's good to have all the Split 1 drivers being able to watch this one live tonight. It's the first time we've done a Split 1 replay broadcast, so welcome on board, and always looking forward to some live comments at some point during the race too. If we get a safety car or two, we'll get some drivers in for a chat. So we're already 6 laps into this 50 laps. How will they split the strategy tonight? I did have a message come through from Rick Feiger saying the starting fuel being 60 litres will require approximately 170 litres to complete the race. Now with maximum fuel burn, no safety cars, and with the tank filled up to 110 litres after every stop, the range is about 32 laps. So be able to get home from lap 18 with a full tank of fuel. So what that means is, the way I understand these new rules, you'll have to make 2 stops before lap 18 if you want that to be your final stop, and then come home as a 3rd stop, lap 18. Obviously a lot of drivers will split it quite evenly. You won't see them pitting that early. So 32 laps maximum. Thanks, Christine. Welcome aboard as well tonight. The RACESTAR TV legends in the house. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting one. It's a new format as far as strategy for this series, and I like the fact that they're just changing it up a little bit as well, trying new things, and the drivers are having to come to terms with that and then readjust. As we see O'Brien now ahead of the Clutch Kickers racing entrant of Mark Horton. Horton just coming back at him there, but O'Brien hanging on, and this is giving Goosey a real good look now in the background to have a look down the inside, as well as Horton just drags a brake into the right-hander. He needs to make sure he doesn't lose the position behind whilst trying to fight the position back with O'Brien, because I think that's probably a lost cause now. O'Brien's already 16 spots up into 16th. He's flying through the field tonight. His lap speed, best of a 1:31.9, is 3/10 quicker than Horton at this stage. And Goosey behind them, in fact, is quicker than both of them. So the old mate and son's entry, he'll try and get a good exit here up over the hump and maybe have a look at Horton. He knows that he can pace with O'Brien if he can get through, and he does. There's your overtake. Well done. He set that up well, and Horton went a little bit wide. It's cost him. So Goosey now up into 17th. And on the back of Brenton O'Brien, they can move along together. Behind them, Marty Hansen as well, as Paul Preston and Dan Hall for company. And sadly, Dan Hall lost 17 spots. And Duggan, who's further back, is down a massive 19 spots this early in the race and carrying a lot of damage too, trying to get that to the first pit stop phase. You would think he could probably come in now as Spriggs comes in to serve his drive-through penalty. I think he could probably come in now and still split it quite evenly across maybe, 12, 13 laps per stop tonight. But I'm sure the strategy this first round will be a little bit foreign to a lot of drivers, but then as it continues into round 9, 10, 11 and 12 for this series, they'll start to get their head around the best way to split the fuel strategy. Starting with 60 litres, of course, I presume you're only going to get about 17 laps out of the first tank of fuel. So the numbers are up in the air for all of us tonight. As McCune fights his way up into 8th place now, the HSR driver who's been driving so well with his teammates in the improved production series that we've had here on RACESTARS TV. He's now up into 8th and closing in on Tim Nicol as well, the HSR driver, doing a really nice job. His teammate Michael Stewart's dropped back to 12th, or he's in 12th place I should say. And the other HSR drivers, who else we got out there tonight as I quickly look down the order? Must be over in split 2. So Preston and Hall having a good battle here. Preston goes down the inside of Dan Hall. Sorry, that was on the lapped car, wasn't it? Hansen. It wasn't for position. So Hansen is, yes it was for position. So I was a bit confused there. Marty Hansen running 20th. Dan Hall just gets through, and now Preston and Hall battle over this 18th place. It looks like Dan Hall might just get through here on Paul Preston. He'll fight the position back. Now he swings back across to try and have a go back at him. Let's jump on board with Preston. PRA into the braking zone he goes, and that looks like Dan Hall has moved up another spot. Brenton O'Brien in the pits now. So this is for a proper pit stop. This isn't for a drive-through penalty. We're going to see him now give us an indication on how much fuel you can take for starting into the pits this early. Stops up in the air, taking tyres as well. Rixie says, where is Bordock? Isn't he in split 3? He's in split 2. We look forward to seeing Dave split 2 in the race coming up very, very soon. Troy Sipple's in the house as well. Hello. Welcome aboard. Tyres wear out very quickly on this track is a message too from Stephen Murray. So that's an interesting one. So obviously the 3 stops will help even out a little bit of the tyre life as well. Tim Nicol up into 7th now for Becky's Performance Racing team. You want to try and keep this little buffer. He's got 1.1 seconds over McCune just to keep the pressure down because he's nursing a little bit of right-hand side damage there too, Tim Nicol. That'll be feeling a little bit sluggish down the straight. Oh, as he lights up the rear tyres. Doesn't mind a little bit of drift action, Tim Nicol. Or as the Hoff calls him, Tim McNicol. He's saving a bit of fuel there too. Or did he just snatch a brake? So Will Wilson says, so this is split 1 race and split 2 is on next. That is correct. So split 1 will go straight into split 2 after the interviews. In fact, whilst the interviews are on, I'll be loading up the split 2 replay. We'll get straight into that because they've got a big night ahead tonight as Barrage crosses the line here with Daniel Norris in tow. This is super close between these two. Norris almost giving a little bit of Morse code on the back bumper bar there, but Barrage holds onto the position 13. He's up 15 spots now, Chris Barrage. M1 Racing, great turnout for him and pushing forward in that beautiful livery. It's shining nicely. The gold, yellowy gold on that car is beautiful. It's gold, isn't it, with the yellow accents. I love that. It's a great design. And Chris driving really, really well tonight, up 15 spots into the top 13. Norris behind him, then Goosey Horton, Dan Hall, Preston, Hansen, and Duggan to round out your top 20 cars. Let's go back to the top where Smart and Nitschke are fighting over 3rd place, your podium spot that's right on board with Christian Smart. And crank the sound up. So straight into the pit lane there for Nitschke. He's in for a stop nice and early as well. So just to go back to that Brenton O'Brien stop. Took 17 seconds worth of fuel, transit time 54 seconds through the lane. Our live timing, by the way, is working tonight over at RACESTARSTV.com. And even though it's a replay file, you can still watch the telemetry tick through, the drive, the track map and all that sort of stuff still well available. You can see how busy this tight little Zolder race circuit is with this many cars out there doing battle. For Vel, by the way, 3 seconds the lead now. He continues just to disappear off into the distance. This man right here, the Taipan eSports #1 driver, I've got to say, since coming across, he's really pushing for wins week in, week out. He's consistently on the podium, unless he does something like blow a motor or run out of fuel. He's looking pretty unbeatable at this stage in the season. So just to reiterate what's going on tonight, split 1, then split 2, and then between split 2 and going across to Wodonga Karts and Parts for the Drivers Lounge, they're going to spin a wheel tonight. Now that's to do with picking a track. I think I'll just quickly read up on what that's about. Spinning the wheel to pick the tracks for the pre-season qualifying. There you go, for season 12. So it's a big night. They'll be doing that little spinny wheel just prior to the split 3 race. So it's busy, busy, busy. So let's go through a few drivers down the order as Heddershield's gone for a bit of an excursion there. He'll rejoin 21st place now. He's behind Brenton Nitschke, who has stopped for fuel, as Darren Shannon as well, just up the road. There's a 1:35.7, a little bit off the pace, the driving pace at the moment, or the lap pace, around 1:31 for a decent or so lap time. We have seen them already down into the 29s, but there's a lot of fuel saving going on. But to be in the 35s, not ideal at this part of the race. Lap 12:50, first race tonight. So for Vel, let's jump on board with him for a full lap shortly and just watch how he's driving so smoothly. Stuart Hall, who started on pole tonight for Nova Motorsports, still running in the top 2. But the gap now back to 3 seconds. His best lap is still 4/10 off what Greg Favell has done. Johnny Latham's in the house. G'day, John. Show us the fuel strategy if possible, says Steve Varga. Is that to me? Is he asking me for that? Just trying to work that out. I will be able to show you the pit strategy throughout the night. We'll be able to do this little one. At the moment, there's your top 15. No one has stopped. So once we get some stops in the top 15, we'll be able to update that and show you how it's all going. At this stage, you can see Stuart Hall. The gap back to Smart has been quite well maintained. It hasn't really not gone either way at this stage. So, and yeah, just a reminder there, Ricci's saying the vets have got to get behind Greg Favell as he tackles the Logitech Pro Series on Wednesday night. That's correct. So I fly in from interstate to Sunday, and then we go straight and do a quick rehearsal for that Wednesday night broadcast, which will obviously be on their channel, but I'm doing production with some fantastic commentators. The Sandman's back commentating that series, and it'll be fun just sitting in the background, not having to talk. I'll be able to actually concentrate with 100% of my focus on the right camera moves and the right buttons to click, which will be fantastic. I look forward to that, and working with some great people, a great team of people as well for that Pro Series that kicks off next Wednesday night from Sebring. So make sure you put that in your diaries. It's going to be a huge night of racing, the best of the best in Australian sim racing, of which Greg Favell has been invited to the Invitational to have a run, which is great. A real credit to him, as Michael Stewart now was that a car exiting the pits just in front or running wide? It was Stephen Varga, who's running in 20th place for Synergy Sim Racing. Now he's just behind Dan Hall, and he stopped on lap 1 according to my telemetry here with a 24-second stop. Stewart stopped on lap 12, 19 seconds in the pits. Ty Byrne now stops from the top 10. We haven't seen any movement yet from the top 4. Scott McCune's gone in, Kennedy's in as well. Lap 14, so we expect the tanks to just be running a little bit dry now on that 60-litre starting fuel. And obviously this man's going to go through on lap 14 now. He's already nearly halfway through the lap. The gap's still around 3.9 seconds, so it's continuing to get bigger and bigger as Spriggs has his hands full with Marty Hansen right now. They cross the line to start their lap 14. The gap between the two of them, 0.3 of a second. You can see it on your screen right now. And there's a shot down from the chopper cam. We don't get a lot of overheads at this track. It is quite a track with a lot of trees that block our camera views for the overhead. So you get a lot of this nice side track action. I like that anyway. You get these good close-ups of the cars, the liveries on the cars. They look fantastic. This Jason Spriggs car looks fantastic. It's a new paint job for him this week by the looks of things. Damien Cairns as well. Those are the Taipan eSports cars. Looking good at the moment. The top 10 all Holden Commodores, can you believe, as our race leader now comes into the pits on the limiter. He'll drive down the lane and take his first stop. So puts Stuart Hall into the lead of the race. He stays out, so does Damien Cairns, I think. Where's Cairns? He's just coming across the line now. So yeah, we move up into second. Tim Nicol comes into the pits, so we've got Favell, Smart and Nicol in the pit lane for their first pit stop tonight. And this will be interesting to see where Brenton Nitschke, who stopped much earlier, he was in lap 10, so 5 laps ago. Let's see where he ends up. He's got Marty Hansen and Spriggs just up the road in front. But let's see how far away he is from Greg Favell when this is all said and done, because Favell is just at the end of the pit lane now, about to drop down after taking, what is it, he's up to 18, 19 now seconds worth of fuel, 21.85 the clock stops at for Greg Favell, and he races back out onto the racetrack. Where's Nitschke? He must be close. He's just coming through turn 1 now at full speed, so this will be really close, and there he is to your right hand side. So Favell only just gets out in front of Nitschke, and he slots in behind his teammate Marty Hansen, who's yet to stop. So that was crucial for Favell that he cleared Nitschke. Let's now examine the numbers between the two of them. They're two different racing teams. So Favell was stationary for 21.8 seconds. He took a lot of fuel on board. Nitschke, different story. He only took 15.1 seconds worth of fuel. So a shorter stop, short fueled the car to try and get track position, and it almost paid off for him. So good effort. But now he's stuck once again behind Greg Favell for this next stage. And remember, that will pay dividends to Greg in the next pit stop. He'll be able to have a little bit of a shorter pit stop and regain that track position he just lost. Stuart Hall in the pits, Damien Cairns in the pits too. Darren Goosey going across to, I presume, pit as well. Let's just see if he ducks off to the right-hand side here, or if he goes through the left-hander to start another lap. He goes through to start another lap. So there you go. Goosey's going to lead this race for Old Mates and Sons. He'll cross the line here. He'll be elevated up to the lead, and Greg Favell should move up into P2. Hall and Cairns still in the pit lane. He's been 14 seconds stationary now, Stuart Hall. He drops down once again, another short stop, only 18 seconds stationary. Where's Favell? He's just coming down through the first corner. Now this will be once again close, and I think he's going to be all right. Just to his right-hand side, you can just see. There he is, Stuart Hall, and Stuart Hall got out between Nitschke and Favell. So that's worked out beautifully for him as well, the Nova Motorsport driver. Has come back out in third, which will be effectively first once Goosey comes into the pits. Blake Warboy says, I'm looking forward to racing Greg in the Pro Invitational. It's going to be an amazing series. Let's go with Donga Cars and Parts eSports. That's some good news, Blake. Looking forward to seeing you as well, man. And Jacob Neasy says McCune has soft hands. Car looks really settled. It does. So keep those comments coming through. Keep being involved tonight in the action. Like I said, it's going to be a big one tonight with a double header, 2 50-lap races in a row. And then we head across to split 3 with Donga Cars and Parts and John Van Ree. And I'll be honest with you, I'll probably be counting sheep by the time Johnny gets into about lap 5, I reckon, tonight on that tyre. But look at this battle between Favell and Paul Young down the inside. Beautiful overtake. He made that look easy. And across the top of the hill there, you've got to keep committed, which is what Paul Young just did. Look at the gap he instantly pulls out on Dean Favell as well. This is going to leave Dean a little bit vulnerable to maybe an overtake from Greg Sharp, who has a look to the inside, and Sharp, he leaves the door wide open. He's going to leave the door open for another couple of cars too at this rate. As Chris Barrage and Christian Smart almost got through as well. So Dino luckily slammed the door shut at the last possible moment and kept them out. But Chris Barrage in that M1 racing car, which looks wild, doesn't it? So whoever did that paint job, let's get them on the chat and have a talk, because we all need to give them a pat on the back. That is one of the best paints I reckon I've seen on a V8 Supercar in iRacing. It's just absolutely spot on. Colour highlights, well done. It's Christian Smart now really puts some challenge on from behind. He looks to the inside. We're on board with Smart, the Synergy Sim Racing Holden Commodore. Up underneath the M1 Racing Holden Commodore of Barrage. I tell you, we've got 4 Ford Mustangs in the top 17 cars. So it's a Holden fest out there tonight. Incredible. Coyster running 11th, has Brenton O'Brien now tucked back in behind him. This is the battle for 11th place. O'Brien's up 20 spots tonight after making that first stop. Here is that pit strategy, which we will talk about. Goosey still hasn't stopped at the top. 16 laps in now. Everyone else has. And just keep an eye on that. We'll have all that information available a little bit later in the race too. Maddie with the stars. How you going, Maddie? Welcome to a Friday night. Hopefully you're having a nice cold beer after a long work week. A well-deserved cold beer as well. Paul Young, by the way, in 14th spot. You can just see him running that alternate strategy. Lap 1, he decided to come straight in, fuel the car, get out of a little bit of risk, I guess, or a risky area on the first lap as Koistra is dropping back, or is he out of the race? He's disappeared off our timing screen, Rue Koistra. It's never ideal. I think he may have some sort of connection issue there. Mock Stewart, the HSR competitor, racing around nicely, up into the top 8 now, up 16 spots in the race. And a reminder, the Balin Stewart Foundation website is now live. I'm going to go quickly look it up again so we can get that linked up in the chat once again tonight. So I did put it up the other night. I'm going to quickly stick it in the chat again tonight. So make sure you bookmark this and head over and have a look, please. And let's keep... well, it's a massive legacy, and as tragic as it is, the Stewart family, who will be rocked forever. It's so good to be able to share the story and hope it brings awareness to such a tragic situation for the future. So go check that out, please. And great to see Michael back in there racing. The whole vets community is so warm and behind the Stewart family, which is amazing, and that support and love will continue forever. That's something that's not going to go away, and we're not going to stop talking about it as well. So 19 laps in, 50 laps, we're almost approaching the halfway point. One stop for many of the drivers. Goosey now does get into the lane. The gap 1.5 seconds between your race leader and Stewie Hall. It's got Chad Viger in between those. So Chad Viger, who's been lapped, just gets out of the way, lets the top 2 go through the Angry Birds racing car, and he's currently sitting in 30th down a lap in this race. So Favell in control. He has not looked like he put a foot wrong yet tonight. Fastest lap of the race still hangs in his balance. So 1 minute 29.440, about 4/10 quicker than anyone else around him. So you can just see the top 2 there as far as fastest laps. The only 2 to drop into the 129s. You've got to go all the way down to Mark Duggan to find someone else in the 29s, and Duggan is a little bit out of place considering that he had that issue at the start. Now fell right back outside the top 20. He's now back into 18th place. So don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already to Type N Events. Big thanks to them for having us on board their YouTube channel. Whilst I'm still a naughty boy and I'm on my 90-day YouTube ban. I hope it's a 90-day and we get it back. I still haven't heard nothing from YouTube, so it could be forever, who knows. But this is where we've found a new home for now anyway with Type N Events. So massive thanks to them. And also let's thank our sponsors, Quantum Tint Solutions, absolute legend. Troy Sippel and the crew, and they've come on board again. I think they're also getting on board for next season as well, which is great. Bay 21 coffee beans. Go get yourself some Bay 21. And thanks to Type N Events and SimSpec Racing as well. Let's jump on board for a lap with, who can we pick on tonight? Let's pick on someone down the order a little bit. Hey, Paul Preston. Let's jump on board with Paul Preston. He starts lap 20. Let's jump on board. Here it is, Fiziki. We finish up a lap on board with Paul Preston. It's a shortish lap here at Zolder. And just seeing his mirrors, Type Man eSports driver Jason Spriggs, keeping him very, very honest and staying within about 0.2 of a second on that lap. Paul Young's back in for his second stop now. And the top driver to make 2 stops at the moment is Stephen Varga, is it? Yeah, Stephen Varga. Crossing the line now. So Steve's made the 2 stops already for tonight. The second one was lap 16, took 16, only 17 seconds worth of fuel. So whilst he's running down near the back of the order, don't count this man out for a top 10 finish tonight. It'll all iron out in a very different way later in this race when the strategies all pan out. Favell and Stuart Hall now coming for their second stop. So does Nishki. So we've got a stack of drivers in the pit lane now. Ty Byrne, just seeing where he's at. I think he may be staying out. Is he? No, he's in the lane as well. So the top drivers are all coming into the pits. And I wonder if we haven't got a safety car. Let's have a quick look at Dave Coleman in the Porsche safety car, which is out on the racetrack. So that's why we had a flurry of cars into the pit lane. It's because one of the M1 racing cars, Chris Barrage, I think it is stationary out on the racetrack. We'll try and pick up a shot where he's at. Oh, there he is now. So the 042, how cool is that number look on the roof, by the way? So the 042 has had a bit of a bingle, and he's stuck down beside the racetrack. In fact, it's just stopped right in the middle of the racetrack, and that's why we're under caution, and that's why we've seen so many cars in and out of the lane now. What this will do is compress up the field as well, which will be good for a couple of the drivers, including Young and also Stephen Varga. See how far he can jump up, although that's cost him. He's now in the pits for his 3rd stop though, so interesting strategy-wise. And there was a little bit of chatter about this amongst the drivers, and it was about doing your consecutive pit stops under a safety car. So what it means is 32 laps of fuel you can get home if you fill it to the brim. Now that's gone and, well, it's been and gone, hasn't it? So lap 18 was the critical lap for taking fuel and then getting to the end. So what they'll try and do now, we just saw Favell come in for a stop. He may also come in again at the end of the next lap while still under caution to try and tick all the boxes for the compulsory pit stop ruling tonight, which would mean his 3 stops are run and done, and he can go to the end. So the Bay 21 safety car out on the track. I'm going to take a few seconds here just to grab a quick drink. We'll be back with you shortly as we get set to go green. See if we can't get a couple of drivers in for a quick chat as well. I'm in the broadcast room. If someone wants to come over to the green room, we'll quickly chat about this new strategy, because I think it's a big talking point, and the feedback I'm seeing from the drivers is most of them are enjoying it. Let's see what happens here. So they stay out the lead drivers. So 2 stops at the moment for Favell and Hall. Horton's on a 1-stopper. In fact, yeah, he is. So I thought more of them may have just come in for their 3rd stop then. Not. Drew Koistra has those, so he's in for his 3rd stop. The driver that has made 3 stops and is highest up the list of drivers is Chad Viger. And who else? I'm just having a look down the list. Dean Favell's made his 3, Chad Viger, Vanderkran's made 3, and Brenton O'Brien, Crosby and Koistra I think are all going to come out on 3 stops as well now. So in a pretty good spot with the safety car bunching the field up as well. This will put Brenton O'Brien on the back of the pack, but if they obviously run around now and stay quite compressed, when they do have to stop, you'll be able to scoot through, make up a stack of positions. So 3 stopper, like I said, Steve Varga, he's in 19th place here on lap 23, halfway point of the race almost, and in a really, really good, strong position. Just behind Dan Hall. Everyone in front of him will need to stop once more in this race. So We'll grab Greg and also Steve Varga in for a quick chat. Hello boys, on a Friday night. How's the beers flowing and how are you feeling tonight?
How you doing, Luke? How you doing, Greg? They are flowing freely.
Very good. Hey, I want to chat to you about this new strategy. 3 stops tonight, compulsory. Tell us a little bit about that, and without giving away any results, how did it feel and how do you feel this new ruling works?
I'll let you go first, Greg.
Yeah, well, I think it's actually a bit controversial at the moment. There's a lot of guys that like it, some that don't. So, yeah, it might have been a bit too much for a short race like this, but yeah, made the racing exciting, I guess.
Yeah, well, don't give. I don't want to know who wins because I always try and give it a secret for myself to make it exciting. But yeah, we're seeing drivers at this stage of the race, like yourself, Stephen, who has made the 3 stops, which means you can now run to the end of this race, right? So the fact that you can put 110 litres in the car means that you can fuel it up by lap 18 and go to the end.
Yeah, well, I put the 111 litres in at the start of the race because I didn't want to get bottlenecked with everyone. But personally, I like it. Like, you don't know who puts in what fuel and whatever else, so that's kind of the good thing, and you're not running around fuel saving for the rest of the race.
Well, there's been a lot of fuel saving, isn't there? This series predominantly is about fuel saving, the strategy anyway, and then generally you see all the cars make the same stops on the same lap.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, I think you want to be racing against people. You don't want to be... Oh, sorry, I'm hearing the feedback. You don't want to be, you know, saving fuel and just sitting behind people all the race. You want to be able to push to as much as you can.
Yeah, we're going back to green now. We'll keep chatting for a bit because it's interesting just to talk about it. Greg, mate, since joining up with Taipan eSports, gee whiz, you've been on fire. Not that you weren't before, but once again, man, out in front, your lap times are incredible. You just feel really comfortable, yeah, moving across to the team?
Yeah, not much has changed. This was a really challenging race. The tyres went off pretty early, so yeah, it took a lot to manage tyres on this during this race, so yeah, pretty difficult.
And tell us a little bit about your involvement, because you're going to be racing in the Pro Invitational Series, the Logitech G Pro Invitational, so you must be pretty excited about that, mate.
Yeah, very excited. A little bit nervous, going with the big guys, but really looking forward to it.
And have you raced, excuse my lack of knowledge, but have you raced against any of those, you know, the big names before in Scops or anything?
No, I haven't. I've mainly stuck to V8 veterans because of work commitments. I couldn't really commit to anything serious, but yeah, I've let work know that I'm in it this time, so can't rely on me for work at the moment. That's it.
And Steve, across to you, mate. It's been a bit quiet tonight without your old teammate there out there fighting. He's got a 1-week suspension.
That was very quiet in the chat. It was indeed. It was just me and Christian there. Unfortunately, a couple of our teammates couldn't make it due to PC issues, but we'll have to have them back very soon.
And we're just watching Christian now. Is it fair to say he hasn't been qualifying so well? I mean, he's sort of bottom of the top 10 sort of qualifying this stage?
Oh, I think his lap pace was... he kicked my bum. That was quite good, really. Yeah, I don't know. I think maybe more concentrating on race pace rather than qualifying, but I think he got into the 29s. I'm not quite sure what his time is. It wasn't as good as practice, but yeah, these things tend to happen. You kind of take it a little bit easy and try not to get an off track on the quali lap and just getting in there rather than staying at the back of the pack, which is a bit of a pain in the bum.
Well, the quality as well at the top of the field is just so good now. I mean, if you're qualifying inside the top 10 at split 1, well, you're incredibly fast.
Yeah, well, yeah, no, Greg up the front, look, you always got to watch what he's doing. He's always, you know, a good second and a half in front of all of us, so look, if we can keep up with him, we're doing good.
Yeah, we're at the halfway point of the race now. I'll let you guys go have another couple of beers and we'll hopefully speak to you towards the end.
Yeah, cheers.
Thanks, Greg. Thanks, Steve. Right, we'll get back to the action. We'll crank the sound back up here. And V8 Supercar noise, that's what we're here to hear tonight. And this restart for Valve straight away, nearly a 2-second lead. In fact, it is a 2-second lead. So he's jumped out of the blocks now without spoiling things, because I don't know who wins, but it sounds a little bit like Greg Favell not too happy with the strategy or the new strategy that they've bought in for this series, because what it's done on a short race, he does another 29.3, super fast lap there for him on lap 25. What it means is that he's done 2 stops. He still needs to make one more stop, even though he may have the full amount of fuel in the car to bring it home. He's going to need to stop again. Now I look down the order, and Stephen Varga's running in 18th place. The field spread to him is only 15 seconds, but he has completed and ticked all the boxes now. 3 stops are done. So if it was to keep running green to the end of this race, and that field spread is probably less than around 30 seconds, he's going to get the lead of this race, Stephen Varga. The drive-through penalty there for Paul Young for an incident with car 27, Daniel Norris on lap 25. So Young will go through the pits with that one. He's been slapped on the wrist. They're on the back of Paul Preston and Jason Spriggs. Preston fighting his way back now into 15th. He's up 6 spots. We've got a pass up near the front here. This is Nickel just getting through, I think, on Horton. Yeah, Tim Nickel just passed Mark Horton. They've got Scott McCune also just tucked in behind there, and Michael Stewart. So a couple of the HSR drivers now inside the top 10, and right on the back of Mark Horton, who is 1 stopped at the moment. That's why he's elevated up into 6th place. There's his strategy, as you can see. So Horton stopped on lap 14. He's now 12 laps into the stint. Everyone else has already completed 2 stops. And if you look down, it's just outside of that. Stephen Varga's in 18th place. So if I just blow that out a little bit to the top 18, which I can do. You see down the bottom there, there's Stephen Varga stopped on lap 1, then did 15 laps, then stopped again 5 laps later in the safety car period. So his 3 stops now ticked off in 18th place, and for him in a really, really nice place. Just going to keep an eye though on that field spread. It's now 18 seconds, so he'll want to hope that that stays, like I said, about under 30 seconds. Will put him into a podium position. Let's jump on board with Scott McCune as he battles with Tim Nickel just in front. Let's jump on board with McCune, looking back in fact at Horton and then Stewart. Scotty's up into 6th now, up 12 spots. Mark Horton up 19, a little bit artificial that number due to the lack of stops. And Michael Stewart, who has stopped twice, up 16 spots into 8th for the HSR with the very cool hexagons on the side of that car, looking good, as many of the cars do. They look incredible. The liveries, the time they put in to make them sparkle in the sunshine for our viewing pleasure. It's great, isn't it? Picking up the dust there as Paul Young goes through the pits now for that drive-through penalty. Just watch Stewart go ahead of Horton, and then Cairns running in 9th place tonight. Damien just dropped a couple of positions since the start of the race. Another of the Taipan eSport boys is ahead of Greg Sharp, and then Christian Smart, who's just in behind. Then you got Steve Kennedy. His teammate was the one that caused the safety car. Kennedy's teammate's M1 racing car blew up, and Chris Barrage was out of the race. So unfortunately, one of their cars has dropped right to the back. Steve Kennedy though still flying the flag well, up 8 spots into 12th. M1cars.com.au. So good to see them fighting well. And Christian Smart, take a look at him, because he's starting to really punish the back of Greg Sharp now, the Coda Sim Sports driver. So let's just run for a moment with Christian Smart at 28. Pitts in the house. We'll see him a little bit later on tonight. He says that chicane is very hard. I love the track though. So it's a really difficult track to get right. I've got to say, it's one of the harder ones that I've ever had a go at. I'm not great. Oh dear, down the inside. Big dive from Christian Smart. Oh, and he's clipped him as well. So he did make contact, and he's gone into the pits. Now, was that a little bit of a moment trying to get to the lane? And Greg Sharp's tried to make the corner, and Christian Smart center punched the back end of that car, and he may get a penalty for that. How many positions did Sharp lose? He dropped down to 13th. the damage is probably more important, because that's now he's under attack from Dan Hall as well. So to make matters worse, he's being pushed back into a super fight here. Let's have a quick look at that replay. We're on board at the moment with there it is, so smart. We're on board with the bottom of your screen. Now, is he trying to go straight to the lane at high speed from an overlap? You can see he's late on the brakes, and then there's the contact, as he did go straight for the lane. He's just misjudged it, I think, and he'll probably pay the price for that one with a drive-through penalty. We'll wait and see, but that could really put a dampener on his race as Kennedy drops a position to Duggan. Mark Duggan now back into the top 10. How good's that? So your race leader at lap 29.50. Continue to circulate now, 4.3 seconds ahead. Top, well, Varga's now up into 14th place. So this is keen to watch. 22.9 field spread to the race leader. Now, let's just keep an eye on this progress, because I'm going to predict here that at the end of this race, Varga's going to be in a good spot, and I reckon Chad Viger and Rui Koistra could also very easily find themselves in the top 5 at the end of this race. Dan Hall and Richie have gone into the pits, but those guys that have already completed 3 stops, if we don't get another safety car, they're going to be in the box seat come the end of this race. We're on lap 30, so you would think Greg Favell, he'll just pick a time to stop now. He'll just keep pushing on. He's lapping in the 1:29, so that was a 30 flat the last lap. But he'll just keep pushing along, trying to bulge out as much of a gap as he can to Hall and Nitschke behind. And ultimately, he'll want to stop after them. If he can go later for that final stop than Hall, Nitschke, Byrne, Nicol and McCune especially, he won't risk coming back out in traffic, which could be really dire. His chances, of course, if he gets some traffic, it may just play into the hands of someone like Stephen Varga, who's going to surprise them all. Will Wilson wonders if Favell ever gets Flavel's mail. I like that. Drive-through penalty, Christian Smart for the incident with Greg Sharp, so we sort of knew that was a slam dunk and on its way. So it's a little mistake there from Christian. It's cost him dearly with a drive-through penalty. On board with Tim Nicol now as he tucked in behind Ty Burnham. Let's jump down to the nose camera, and we get right up behind the M1 racing car of Ty Byrne, who's had a really good second stint for this race, lap 31 now. And he's presenting himself now for a podium, really. He's 2.5 seconds off the back of P3 Nitschke, who's another driver that has been so consistent throughout season 11. And we're already talking season 12, and some good news just coming today as we quickly look at the calendar for season 12. Belle Isle kicking off next year's first race. Now, one of these races will be replaced with Sandown. Sandown coming to iRacing in the next build, so that's some great news for your Aussies that love Aussie tracks in iRacing world. Sandown will be there for next season, so one of those tracks will get replaced. And tonight, after the Split 2 broadcast, they're going to be doing a little vote for the pre-season tracks. And I think from memory, from what I've read, they've put all the tracks into a barrel. They're going to spin the wheel and they're going to pick out which ones get testing done. So you got to remember the way the splits are also decided, that has quite a bit to do with where drivers land in different splits. So pre-season testing now very, very important for this series. Off like to Belle Isle. So I think Sandown will be received more welcomingly than Winton. I know we all love Winton, but I just don't think it's as far as a V8 Supercar track in the virtual world at least, I don't think it's where it has the passing opportunities that a lot of people expected it would. And maybe that's representative of how it is in real life as well for V8 Supercars, but it hasn't been the most exciting track, to be honest with you. I've done about 5 or 6 broadcasts from Winton now, and a lot of them have just been quite drawn out. But I think Sandown is going to be different, and the fact that we can run a Sandown 500 in the Pro Series on their calendar. Sandown 500 and Bathurst 1000. It's going to be incredible. Will Wilson, he's on fire tonight. He says, I like Sandown the track, but dislike Sandown my crack. Oh man, that's good. It's a great joke. Dave Orell says, I think I need to start practicing again. We always need to practice, that's for sure. So you continue to watch Cans here, and Mark Duggan starting to work the back end of that Holden Commodore. So Duggan at the moment, the second of the, what is it, 4 Mustangs now inside the top 10. So it's starting to come back a little bit of the way forwards. Second half of the race, because remember the first half of the race, I think it was something like 16 Holdens in the top 20. Now we've at least got 5 up there in the top 20, or 6. Into the bits, Greg Sharp. That releases Stephen Varga now into 13th. And well up there as far as the 3-stop strategy. So there's once again a reminder. You see everyone is now 11 laps onto this set of tyres, and the tyres are going off quickly at this track, and that's something to consider when you ask Stephen Varga. He'll have to do the most laps out of anyone for this third stint. All the other drivers will come in for a new set of tyres somewhere between now and the end of the race, and they can't do it on the final lap of the race. It must be completed, I think, a couple of laps prior. This is Goosey having a look at the back of Hansen. Marty Hansen in 15th place. Blacktown Mazda get some good sponsorship, don't they? They get some good air time. There it is again. Nice big banner on the side of that car. Petey Pitt says, I wish more Aussie tracks would come. Hopefully they're on their way, says Stephen Varga. I personally would love to see, I think Symonds Plains would be awesome. Obviously City Motorsport Park, being a New South Welshman, will be right up there. And then tracks like Adelaide, Gold Coast, I know Adelaide's probably no longer going to be used that often, but it'd still be great to have it in the sim. Melbourne, Harbour Park, it'd be fantastic to have that as well. I think Hidden Valley is one of the most underrated tracks in the country. It's such a fun racetrack in R-Factor 2 and watching races in the real world too. I think we could definitely write off places like the ACT, the street circuit. I think that was a shocker. And probably Homebush as well. That was a shocker, that street circuit. Hopefully I don't think of doing that again. But anyway, maybe there's someone out there that like those tracks. I just thought they were so artificial and just boring. Concrete jungles, but you run the supercars around City Motorsport Park and it's always a spectacle. You run around Hidden Valley, it's always a spectacle. Townsville, it's always all right. Townsville's pretty exciting for a street circuit, but there's a lot of tracks in this country we could definitely get hooked into this sim. So there's your race leader, 6.4 seconds. The gap is Mr. Consistent. We don't get lap times, unfortunately, in a replay file. As you can see, they're all empty. I've just been watching him tick off 1 minute 30s after 1 minute 30s, and they don't really change too much. So that was a 1:30.49 just completed. Stuart Hall was about 4/10 slower in P2 for Nova Motorsports, and then you had Nitschke, who was about a second back off the pace in P3. That's why he's now 12 seconds off the lead. Stephen Varga, that comment we keep coming back to, he's now 27 seconds off the lead of the race. So this is what I'm sure Greg Favell's just looking at on his telemetry at this stage of the race. He'd be thinking, right, who's 3 stopped and how far ahead do I need to be to come out in front of them? So this is Stephen Varga's view, looking forward at Paul Preston and Jason Spriggs. They're engaged in a huge battle, those two. So Stephen Varga will just be watching this, saving some fuel whilst behind Spriggs, and obviously also trying to look after the tyres a bit, because he's going to have to carry them through for the best part of 2/3 of a race. Dave Orell wants to see Calder Park on iRacing before it completely falls apart. Who remembers Calder Park when they ran the old Underdome way back in the day? I remember a couple of the were they Oscars, I think they were called, on display outside of a Bob Jane T-Mart where I was living as a kid, and didn't know too much about oval racing at that time, but they were cool to never seeing I guess the closest we could have to a NASCAR in person. Big tyres, big agricultural looking race machines, but it was great to see them in person. And then I started to learn a little bit more about oval racing. I started getting computer games. Who remembers the Indy 500 computer game? Gee whiz, was it Commodore 64 or something like that? As we look at Michael Stewart there, just momentarily vanishing and reappearing. Stephen Kennedy running 10th just behind him would have just puckered up a little bit when he saw that, no doubt. But the top 10 now covered by 26 seconds. Favel's doing what he needs to do. 7 seconds to lead and continuing just to make that margin pretty hard for anyone else to challenge tonight. And the podium now a 12-second spread. Vargs back there 28.5 seconds off the lead for the first of the three stoppers. The other three stoppers around him, this man is just the silent assassin tonight. Chad Weiger, 35 seconds off the lead, but if they were all to stop again now, except for Weiger, Oystra, Varga, and also Brenton O'Brien, who's a three-stopper in there, he's instantly going to be promoted up into around 4th place in this race. So you're going to see some surprises coming into this race due to this new pit stop strategy. And I'm led to believe this will continue now right through to the end of the season on this trial of the three-stop strategy, and then going into next season it should be implemented as well. Now we're going to see Duggan, Cairns, Kennedy and Spriggs all in the lane. This is where we see Stephen Varga into the frame. So straight away, Stephen Varga crosses the line, goes P8. So he's the top of the three stoppers. He's still got 7 drivers in front of him yet to stop. But if you look at the timing screen, you'll see that Stewart is only 2 seconds up the road. Then it's 10 seconds to McCune. So, and Nickel as well, 11 seconds to Byrne. Not that far to Nitschke. So Vargs is going to be probably elevated to at least 3rd, possibly 2nd, once the drivers in front stop. With 13 laps to go, you would think that stop isn't too far away. We're trying to just split the tyre strategy more than anything now. I presume most of them are fueled to the end. So maybe someone can give us an idea on what it costs to, or what sort of time is used to just do tyres and not take on fuel. Hey, here's a good photo. I'm sure I can show this one. We've got a photo on the screen. It's a little bit, we'll say PG rated. Dave Worrell has just sent me this one through. And this is at Calder Park. So there you go. I'm sure the drivers appreciated that sight as they came down to one of the faster corners there at Calder Park. Thanks, Dave, for sending that through. Classic. So it's all happening tonight, isn't it? So Byrne in the pits, McCune and Stewart also in the pits. Once again, Stephen Varga will elevate now up into 5th. So he goes through, and all that hard work at the start, the risk of taking that extra stop right at the beginning is now looking to pay off as he moves up into 5th place. And behind him, Chad Weiger moves up into 7th outright. Koistra's up in the top 10 for FRG. So Rue Koistra on fire here, and Brenton O'Brien, 9th place for him. He's also up there for a top 10 finish, and Matt Vanderkran, another driver inside the top 10. He's gone the same strategy as his teammate Chad Weiger, and this has worked out to their advantage tonight. I wonder how much pre-race thought went into what they would do with the 3 stops tonight, where they would plan it out. Great job. Mark Duggan a bit ragged there as we've gone across to him. He's in 14th place, chasing down Scott McCune, 13th. The biggest gains tonight in the race goes to Chad Weiger. 27 positions he's made up. The Angry Birds car running in the top 10. 27 spots, 23 for Brenton O'Brien. So good gains for him tonight as well. They've all made their 3 stops. Rick Royster's made 8. Dean Flavel, he's made up 16 spots tonight. Tim McMickle Tim Mr. Nickel comes in for his third and final stop from P4. They'll elevate Vargs up another position now. Onto the pit straight he goes. You'll see on his relative that Jim Nickel's stationary in the pits. He goes past him now, moves up into fourth. So a podium place definitely on offer for Stephen Varga tonight in the absence of his teammate Jamie McKnight, flying the flag here for the Wave Runner Synergy Sim Racing Team. And his teammate, where Christian Smart is, he's down in 27th place. He had that drive-through penalty after that little error near the pit entry. So it's fallen against him sadly tonight. I want to do a quick shout out to the drivers in the practice room with Ben Anthony. We've got Favell, Mark Dials over there as well, Paul Hayes, Philip Marsh, Scotty Perrin, Stephen Varga, Troy Sippel and Wayne Lecomte, all over there hanging out. I should go barging in there and say what's up guys, but anyway, hopefully they're having a good time watching a bit of this broadcast, no doubt chatting about all things strategy and how things are going to pan out into next season. Greg Favell now stops from the lead of the race. So this will be interesting. The gap back to Vargs, 32 or so seconds. So let's see how close this is when he comes out of the pits. Could Stephen Varga skip past them all into the lead of the race here? He's coming down now towards the final chicane. Luke Holland says, I believe as you can do fuel at the same time, you can put about 31 litres of fuel in whilst doing tyres. So what that means is if they're compulsory tyre stops at each fuel stop, Steve Varga is going to take the lead here. You know, this is incredible. So there's Greg Favell up on the blocks, and there is Stephen Varga going through to lead this race for Synergy Sim Racing. That three-stop strategy early on has played into his hands perfectly. And let's see where Chad Viger comes out, because I think Chad might jump up into P2. Rue Koistra goes up into third. Brenton O'Brien has leapfrogged Favell as well. And Greg Favell drops back to 5th place. Now Favell with 10 laps to go, he'll have some speed. He'll probably have a little bit of red mist as well, thinking, right, these guys in front have just found the loophole by stopping early, getting all their three stops done. It's caught him napping slightly, Greg, and yes, he's got ultimate speed in the car, but has he got enough time now to not only pass 4 drivers, but to claw back 10 seconds on the race leader Stephen Varga? On board with Favell now. He's already just done the job on one of them, so Brenton O'Brien has been overtaken. Favell moves up into 4th. Horton's off the track. He's just come back on. I thought for a second that maybe he's blown up, but it's all good. So here we go. Yeah, insert Jaws music, says Ben Anthony. 100%. He's going to be chasing them down. Rue Koistra will be next up the road. Now Koistra, we've seen many a time being able to get the elbows right out. Now he is not shy in racing against these top drivers and making them really work for their positions. He slams the door shut here on Favell. We think back to VIR when Jamie McKnight needed that incredible fight back to win the championship, and Rue Koistra almost stood in his way. He put up such a huge fight. I reckon he's going to have a go tonight again. Let's jump on board here with this man, Greg Favell, and just try and watch the way he sets Rue Koistra up here. We know he'll try a few different options, and then he'll see if he can just dive through when Koistra maybe runs wide, maybe goes deep. He'll just try and play this game for a little bit, but he'll run out of laps. You can already see 10.1 seconds. The gap to Varga, and a win is just slowly creeping away. It's tough to pass through this section. You can see Chad Viger's just in front of Koistra as well. Rue's thinking, right, podium for the V8 vets. That would be incredible. A split one podium. That's right up there in the iRacing world now for the V8 vets. It's just because these boys are over the age of 40, don't think that there's anything slow about them. They are super fast race drivers. As beautiful overtake there, Greg Favell moves himself up into 3rd now. Next up the road, Chad Viger. Wilson says Spielberg will be after this channel next. Jaws music, was that? Let me have a quick look. I think that was is not Spielberg, of course he's the director. I'm trying to think who, John Williams, of course, John Williams, Star Wars, all the, he's done all the great stuff, hasn't he, John Williams? So he did the Jaws theme song, so yeah, maybe John Williams will come after me if I play that on the channel. So we won't do that. Chad Viger, sorry, I get the name right, Chad, under attack, and here he goes. Greg Favell gets alongside, and thank you very much, he says, into the chicane. Favell moves, oh boy, he went right over the top of that. And Greg Favell up into P2 now, the gap 10.2. So in all that hustle, it took him 2 laps, and it cost him about 0.2 of a second to Steven Varga. Now, he's got 8.5 laps, the best part of 8.5 laps, to now try and chase him down. I can tell you that Steven Varga, who's on your screen now, as Scott McCune's off. Now, where's he going off the track? He's down there in the grass. He's dropped to 18th behind his teammate now, so that's sad for Scotty, down to 19th place. But back to the topic I was just talking about. It's a 131.4 last time around for Steven Varga. And Favell did a 131.6. Now, that was whilst making some overtakes. I think we're going to see some pretty hustling 1 minute 29s now for the last 7 or so laps of this race. But will it be enough? If he does have that speed, he may be right on the doorstep coming into the final lap. And he's got a clear track in front of him. We'll look at the track map here. And there is Bell. I'm just going to try and filter this down a little bit. So we're going to go try and get this just between first and second. So there's first on the racetrack. And we'll see if we can't get second up there as well. That's where first place is. Now the gap to, just see where he is on the racetrack. Let's have a quick look. Just going through the right-hand sweeper now. So finally got it to work for me. It took a while. So you've got your 2 drivers that we're focusing on here. Let's keep an eye on that. We'll keep that track map up there. Steven Varga just lapped at 1 minute 31.6, and he was 1.6 seconds quicker. Greg Favell on that previous lap, and now Steven Varga, granted, just had to pass Mark Horton. But your top 3 now, 10 seconds covering them, and Koistra as well. Not too far back. Can he also get himself involved? There's your top 3 up on the screen now. Can he get himself involved and maybe get himself a podium tonight? He's only 4/10 off the back of Chad Viger. The worry for Koistra is he's got Brenton O'Brien also breathing down his neck with 6 laps to go. Don't forget, we're going straight from this to split 2. I don't know how I'm going to make it tonight. It's going to be a big night of talk. I feel my voice is already sore. Hopefully it's all right though. We get straight into split 2. Then we go the spinning wheel of death for what the pre-season track selection will be. That will be just prior to the Johnny Van Ree show in the driver's lounge for Wodonga Karts and Parts for the split 3 race. So 3 races tonight, 150 laps of V8 Supercar action. And you're watching right now the battle for the final position on the podium. First, second and third. First and second look pretty decided, although the gap's down to 6.8 now. So Vargs and Favell, they're on the same straightaway. The pit straightaway now for both first and second, as third, fourth and fifth also enter the pit straight. Brenton O'Brien's got a great run on Koistra. He's going to get alongside him. He'll be on the outside. Koistra positions the car well into the braking zone. O'Brien will think about trying to go around the outside. He'll try for switchback, gets a lot of throttle on. And O'Brien lit up the rear tyres, which just cost him a little bit. So we'll stay on board with Brenton now in this chase down for Ruud Koistra. You You've got to think if Brenton can get past Rue, he can probably get past Chad as well. Third to fourth to fifth is about 2 seconds. The gap between first and second down to 6.1. It's continuing just to drop and drop. Let's go back down the order a little bit. Tim Nicol up 1 spot tonight, chasing Matt Vanderkraan. This is for a top 10 position. And Damien Cairns just in the background of those guys as well. So this is not a bad fight towards the end of the race. And then right down the order, McCune and Michael Stewart. This is a good battle between the teammates. I mean, they raced against each other the other night, didn't they, in the group production series? Now they're back again for more. And this battle, sadly for Scotty and Michael, is over 18th place. They would love to be a lot higher up. They're also not too far off the back of Paul Preston and Spriggs though, and Preston has regathered 5 places tonight after being on the grass earlier in the race to be 16th, so good recovery for him. Back to the battle at the top. This is between Koister and O'Brien. Koister still able to hold out Brenton O'Brien in the late stages of this race. The gap between first and second, another faster lap there, 1.2 seconds. Stephen Varga lost to Greg Favell. And you can see by the fact that Mark Horton is just running at the same speed here as your race leader. Now Horton's down a lap, but he's been able to run with your race leader at that pace. Now the gap's just come under 5 now, 4.8 seconds with 4.5 laps to go. I've got a feeling Greg Favell, he's going to be right there, probably with a lap to run in this race. Now when he gets there, you've got to probably put the money on him to get past Stephen Varga, because Stephen Varga's tyres, if we look at that pit strategy, Vargas' tyres are now 24 laps old compared to Favell's 6-lap old tyres. So who would you put your money on? I'd probably say the 6-lap old tyres are going to perform pretty well, trying to put 650 horsepower to the ground compared to someone who's done 24 laps. Especially when the word on the street was that the tyres weren't lasting that well anyway on the short stops. Now Koister's just gone off in the fence, so that's unfortunate for Rue. Fighting against Brenton O'Brien there. And Brenton goes through up into 5th. Sorry, up into 4th. Nishki up into 5th now. And Rue Koister will drop down to 9th. Looks like a podium's gone begging sadly for Rue. Jacob Nees is saying, I'd love to see all the speedway we have in Australia on iRacing. That's right. Bill Gander on there, put Morris Park on there. Some of the smaller ones, that'd be fantastic. So look in the background, there's Varga. Look behind, there is Greg Favell. 3.8 now the margin. Lap 47. It's coming down to the wire. That lap once again, 1.17 it was, 1.17. Greg Favell just took out of the race leader. You can see him up the road now. We jump on board with the Taipei eSports competitor who led the majority of the race. At the start, he's had the top pace, the quickest lap of the race with a 1 minute 29.35. And now he can just start to hone in onto the back of Stephen Varga on those 25 or 26 lap old tyres now. And when you're chasing like this, it's so easy to just judge the distance you're making up. You watch like corner entry there, he hits the apex. Next lap around, you'll note your position and then see if you're further up the road or further back up the road. So it's almost a fun game to be the chasing car, whereas the car that's leading, Stephen Varga, he's got an issue here. One, he's got a lap car that he can't shake. So he's been able to get past Horton, who's in 30th position, but he can't shake him. He's just continued to lap behind him. And that will probably get him worried when when Greg Favell ends up on the scene. It's going to be a one-horse race. 2.5 seconds the gap. Now Jason Spriggs and McCune in a battle here with Paul Preston for the minor places. Some good racing going on down the pit straight again. So Paul Preston trying to catch Steve Kennedy, one of the M1 cars still out there circulating. His teammates up in 7th place. So good job, Ty Byrne tonight. He's been a little bit quiet as far as getting much of a mention from us. Hey, Mark Duggan's back in there. You got to give Mark a massive rap for this. he's not had the most fun night as far as things going against him. Remember, he had a drive-through penalty, I think it was earlier in the race. He's back up there in 8th place now, and challenging, may even get 7th if he can get past Byrne. The gap under 2 seconds at the front now. Stephen Varga leads the race. You can just see Favell almost getting past the clutch kicker racing car of Horton. Not yet though. And with 2 to go, it's inevitable now that we're going to see this come down to the final lap. Unless Greg Favell makes a mistake, uses all the track and more there, kicks up the dust in the background. You can just see that dust cloud. The drivers are kicking it up coming out of that final corner. It dissipates pretty quickly. Sadly, I thought it was going to be a very cool shot. Stephen Varga though, what's his thought process now? There it is, 1.8 seconds. That's what it looks like from on board. Don't forget, straight after this race, we'll have some interviews and then we'll go straight to split number 2, quick turnaround. And of course, we'll have some interviews with the drivers whilst we're doing that server changeover. And then split 3. Big night. I'm sure Johnny's over there. If you haven't already, go on, get your YouTube, subscribe to Wodonga Karts and Parts, WKMP TV. Thought for a second Stephen Varga was down on power there. He's 1.5 seconds. Lap 49, so they'll get the final lap white flag. He's already flashing the headlines to Darren Shannon, who's just up the road, saying, "Wait, I'm coming through. Get out of my way. Don't get in this. Get in my spot when I've got one of the best in the business right behind me and 1 lap to go." He's on the headlights again, and Greg Favell within 1.3 seconds now, coming onto the last lap. Now, consider this. They cross the line. It's a 1:31.2 versus a 1:30.4. 0.8 of a second was the difference on that lap. Final lap of the race now. The gap 1 second. Will Stephen Varga win this one by 0.2 of a second? In a lap's time, we'll find out. But we'll keep an eye. This is going to come down to the wire between these two. We spoke to them earlier in the race during that first safety car, and one of them liked the new 3-stop strategy. He's leading the race. The guy that didn't seem to like it is P2. I've got a feeling it may finish that way, just judging by some body language, but we're going to count this down to the wire. And Stephen Varga, has he saved a little bit in reserve? He's holding that gap at about 1 second. Over the crest, car lightens up, down to 0.8 now. This is where Favell's been strong, and also Favell will have the tyres underneath him. Remember, the pit strategy, there it is. It's 28 laps into these tyres for Varga, only 10 laps for Favell. So bring it home strong. Greg Favell will be able to lean right on the tyres into the braking zone. He'll be able to squeeze that throttle a little bit better coming out of the corners as well. Watch the rotation, watch the acceleration. There you go, straight away took a couple of tenths out of him under acceleration. 0.6 now the margin and closing, but we've only got this last couple of corners to go to take the checker flag. It looks like Stephen Varga, it was one big dive to try and get through and finish it, but the checker flag's going to drop, and it's going to be Stephen Varga who takes the win tonight in the split 1 race from Greg Favell, who gets P2. Chad Viger is going to get 3rd. He's going to get the podium. A big dive from Nitschke having a look. Brenton O'Brien's going to get 5th. I don't think that's going to change. They cross the line now, and it is Chad Viger who gets 3rd place. Nitschke gets 4th. O'Brien up 27 spots to get P5. What a run he's had tonight. Stuart Hall from the front row of the grid comes home in 6th place. Ty Byrne gets 7th. Mark Duggan 8th. 9th goes to Rue Koistra. Sadly, he could have been up on the podium tonight. It was probably one that'll slip away from him, and he'll think about later on what he could have done differently. But great drive nonetheless. And Tim Nicol rounds out your top 10. We'll get some quick interviews in, and then of course we'll go through and jump over to the split 2. Split 2 race coming up shortly. Here's your race results up on the screen, thanks to iRacing, and big thanks to Quantum Tint Solutions as well. Stephen Varga confirm your winner there by half a second over Greg Favell. Chad Viger 3rd, Nitschke, O'Brien, Hall, Byrne, Duggan and Koistra there, with Nicol rounding out your top 10. Then with Cairns, Sharp, Van der Kraan, Favell, Preston, Kennedy, Stewart and Spriggs, your top 18. 19th tonight went to Christian Smart, Marty Hansen rounding out your top 20. Right, let's head over and hopefully we can get a quick chat in with some drivers. Just wait to hear from them. But good to see the Synergy Sim racing car on top with a win tonight. And fantastic effort. Stephen Varga, congratulations on the win tonight, mate. That fuel strategy and that 3-stop strategy working to your advantage in this first time it's been used. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. It was very much by a pubic hair. I was watching the relative come down, thinking, fuck, far out, sorry. How many laps does he
That's all right. We're nearly past 8 o'clock.
Yeah, well, it's close enough. I've had enough drinks. Thinking, he's getting. Sorry, I'm going to mute the chat quickly because it's games. Tim is distracting me. Yeah, no, I was just watching them. Relative come down, thinking, far out. He's got me. I'll get a second at least, but I'll be happy with that.
Yep.
But not to be. Good racing, Greg. You definitely deserved the win, but
No, you deserved it, mate. You got the strategy right.
yeah, no, I got lucky. I'm very, very lucky.
And one extra lap, Greg, you reckon you would have had him?
I don't think so. He's not an easy person to pass. He would have made it real difficult.
I would have blocked like an SAB, don't get me wrong. But no, look, he had the pace to take us all out, don't get me wrong.
Oh, it was great to watch tonight. Obviously, this new strategy is going to go through now to the end of the season. Greg, what will you do differently, or will you try and plan differently next time?
Oh, I'm not sure. I think I can go either way. If I didn't spend so much time behind Rue and Chad, we would have been there with a lap to go, I reckon.
Yep.
So we lost a bit of time there. I've just probably got to get a bit more aggressive if I'm in that situation.
That's it, boys. Great to watch. We've got to get the next replay up, so we'll do some thank yous, starting with you, Steve. Who would you like to thank, mate, putting Synergy Sim Racing on the top step again?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Synergy Sim Racing for taking us all on board. DGD Custom, Dr. Epoxy, ALC. Sorry, taking pictures on my phone so I could fucking thank them all. Pardon me again. Wave Runner Performance Centre, Smith & Sons, DM Cinematography,
Newlon.
Posse's Mechanical Repairs, Too Easy Finance, West End Mazda. Yeah, we'll call it that.
Very good. And fantastic win, man. Who would you like to thank, Greg, in the brand new Type N eSports? Another podium, mate, racked up for that new team.
Yeah, all the boys at Type N eSports, Blacktown Mazda, Blacktown City GWM Haval, Too Easy Finance, Simrigs, SimSpec Engineering, Card FX, Sideways Photography, yourself, Luke, and all the boys at the Veterans.
Awesome job tonight, boys, and hopefully you stick around and keep the beers flowing there, Steve, and we'll hit the Split 2 replay out for you guys in a sec.
Yeah, and congratulations to Steve and Chad on third place.
That's it.
Well done for Chad too.
Yeah, Chad hasn't come in for a chat, but well done getting the Mustang up onto P3. 31 spots he made up in that race. Great to see Chad up there fighting for a podium. So well done, Chad.
Yeah, and well done to Brenton for making up the position and getting to fifth place from wherever he started.
At the back, yeah, 30 seconds. So 27 spots Brenton made up, so good job from him. And probably sad for Rue. You mentioned there, Greg, that you had a good fight with Rue and also Chad, but Rue dropping back to 9th place there, probably possibly on for a podium tonight. So good job all in all. We'll get this Split 2 up and running. So thanks our race winners tonight, Steve Varga and Greg Favell, coming in for a chat.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Thanks,
boys.
Luke.
All right, let's get Split 2 up and running. It takes me a couple of minutes here. Back with you shortly. Alright guys, just an update. It's going to be about 5 minutes due to our software limitations. We've got to just start a test server under my name before I can get back in with Dave Bordock's replay file, because Dave Bordock doesn't own SDK. So give me a minute. I've just got to trick the system so it thinks that he does own it. I'll be back with you shortly as soon as we get this up and done. So about 5 minutes, we'll be back live for Split 2. Welcome to part 2 of the evening, folks. It is time for Split 2, round number 8 of the V8 Veterans, thanks to Quantum Tid Solutions. And this is how they line up tonight. And, well, it is going to be a pole position to Scott Gamble. Puts it on pole tonight with Jason Fewens alongside Matty Parker will start from the second row with Travis Hunt. There's Paul Hayes and Andrew Hoffman off the third row. Duggan, Weston, Riali and John King to round out your top 10 tonight. Mark Peck starts from 11th on the grid. Peter Latham out of P12 over into 13th place. Jason DiPetito with Simon Pitty-Pitt down there in 14th. There's Vigrant, Sybil, Betts and Quain. Lorella and Dave Bordock to round out your top 20. Craig Healy, 21st on the grid with Todd Martin, Wayne Lecomte and Dave Orrell, your top 24. 25th on the grid. Safety car tonight. Let's hope it's not needed. Reg James starts from 26 with Peter Vanderkraan and Ben Anthony at the back in the Porsche. Ready to keep an eye on proceedings and hopefully also is not needed tonight and we can get through this flag to flag green second part of the evening. Thanks for tuning in. Just seen split 1. Let's go down to the track for the start of split number 2. Who's your prediction here? Hasn't Scott Gamble been quick? Elevated up from split 3. He's now in split 2. I expect him to probably elevate right up into split 1 for next season. But how about Jason Fewens on the front row as well? Could we see some fireworks? We're still waiting on the top competitors to load in here. And there is the Hoff. Also starting back there on 6th on the grid with Duggan and Weston behind him. So good position for Andrew Hoffman again, qualifying right up there tonight. Matt Parker as well for Nova Motorsports, qualifying inside the top 3. The Nova boys have been on fire at this track. I think a lot of practice was probably done. And it shows too, as we see now the Scott Gamble line up, waiting for the lights to go green and just waiting on Jason Fewens. Everyone else around that top 6 is on the grid. Todd Duggan and Murray Riali also a little bit slow to the grid, 7th and 9th place. John King will start out at 10th. Mark Peck will start from 11th with Peter Latham, DiPetito on pit down there in 14th. So good qualifying. There's a lot of Commodores once again filtering through the top 10. I think it's, 4 Mustangs and 6 Commodores inside the top 10 tonight. As we're 2.5 minutes into staging now. Still waiting on Fewens and also Todd Duggan. Keep the comments coming through tonight. It's a double header and we'll get through this second split race before we then head across to Wodonga Cars and Parts for the third and final split of this round number 8 in season 11. So we're already getting towards the end of season 11 and season 12 well and truly booked with a lot of drivers. I had a look at the names once again for season 12. It is massive. This series continues to get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I think better and better as well. Let's get set for a green. We should hear the revs rise shortly. Fewens is now on the grid, and let's get set to go racing. 50 laps around this Zolder circuit, and we get the green, lights out, and we are racing, and Gamble got away well. There's a huge crash in the back play there. Weston's involved in that, and straight away an incident off the start. And Scott Gamble's got away perfectly in front. Todd Duggan's made up 4 spots. Jason DiPetito made up 6 spots for the HSR team. We'll probably go straight to a safety car here, I would say. Big incident at the start, but perfect getaway for Gamble. Looking back in the pack there, Riali, Weston, Lecomte, all involved, I think, in that early incident. As Scott Gamble gets a half-second lead here over Paul Hayes. Has there been some modifications on that livery for Paul Hayes? I think so. That looks fantastic, doesn't it? And Hayes at the moment just ahead of Duggan. Fewens dropped 2 spots off the start, and he's just fallen back about 8/10 off the back of the battle for second and third. So he needs to try and regather that up as quickly as possible. As far as I can tell, we are still under green racing conditions. No safety car needed as yet in the race. Getaway, like I said, for Scott Gamble out in front. Perfect launch off the line. We'll have a quick look at the small screen replay of that collision that's marred the start. So the getaway from the top couple was okay. Just watch back a little bit. I think someone maybe didn't move at all, and that's where the incident has happened. Now what's happened there to Duggan has dropped off our timing screen. He's spun around and he's lost the back end of that car, so he'll head to the pits. So yeah, car stalling on the grid there at the start. Big contact. WCM car did not move, and sadly plenty of damage to 3, 4, 5 competitors due to that start incident. No such bad luck there for Scott Gamble. 0.8 of a second. He leads Paul Hayes and Jason DiPattino. It's already opening up at the front. 5.9 seconds covering the top 3. And plenty of drivers going straight to the lane to make that first pit stop count. Dave Worrell, we've got a safety car. There you go, race control. They've informed us of a safety car, boards and flags, and that means everything will just settle down slightly whilst you'll see probably the majority of drivers jump into the pits and take that first of 3 stops tonight. And after watching the Split 1 event just prior to this, it seems the key in a short sprint race especially is to get those 3 stops out of the way. The tyres being able to hang on there for Stephen Varga to take a great win. We ran 28 laps on a set of tyres to the final stint. We're now 2 laps in. You can run it home from lap 18 as far as a full tank of fuel. So we're going to see probably all of them in the pits. That was Gamble in. Hayes is about to come in as well. Behind him you'll see DiPattino, Peck and Hoffman all filter into the pit lane. And the driver that has stopped, Peter Latham, there he is in the racecraft entry. Now where's he going to end up with this safety car period? Could he jump to the front of the queue? No, he's half a lap back, so I don't think he's going to get near the front of the queue. I was thinking for a second maybe he could sneak through. Strategy here, but Simon Pitt's going to stay out now. The Pitty Pit machine decides not to stop. He goes into the lead. Quaney 57 also decides to go the same strategy. Now what we've already seen, with hindsight of course, is that this doesn't tend to work with this new 3 compulsory pit stop. Good time to talk to some people as well if they want to come in for a chat. Some drivers come across to the green room and we'll have a chat tonight as the Porsche safety car. Big thanks to Bay 21 Coffee lends itself to the racetrack tonight. And of course, big thanks to all the admin team, 6 of them that go across and put in a lot of effort to make sure this runs so smoothly. The 001 safety car out there tonight, love it. So big thanks to Bay 21. They don't put fuel in the safety car, they just fill it up with Bay 21 coffee in it. It's like putting 110 octane fuel in your car, it's just incredible. Race leader Simon Pitt out in front. Under safety car has not stopped. Just to let you know who has and who hasn't stopped. The top 4 decided not to come into the pits. Now I find that interesting, especially considering Wayne LeCompte is carrying a fair bit of damage on the front. I think Dave Worrell also carrying some damage. In fact, even Simon Pitt looks a bit beat at the front. Post-race penalty there for Matt Parker for the incident with Murray Reale. That's at the start, so that's to do with the start line incident. Try and get you a bigger size replay. Take a little while to run in here because it was a bit of a pre-roll, but just keep an eye on the second row of the grid. Car number 4, position 4 on the grid, Reale, I think it was. Now, oh, there was a little bit of a jump there from Fewens, which I didn't pick up as well. You just saw him move forward and then stop, so he might have got away with that. Now watch that second row of the grid. There's the contact. Big contact and a lot of damage as the cars bounce around and spin around. That's why we disqualification Matt Parker for towing without permission as well. So that's the end of Matt Parker's race. He'll be disqualified for going against the rulebook. And still surprised that the top 3 didn't stop. Worrell did go in on this lap. Van der Kran's gone in as well. So is Troy Sippel. Quantum Solutions entry. Becky Performance Racing goes in for his first set of tyres. But as far as the strategy goes, Gamble is the leader of the drivers that has made that first stop. In fact, he's made 2. So they've all chosen to do that double stop. I wonder if, well, they're not going to do a third, are they? Because they've got to get to lap 18 to then fuel the car up with the full 110 litres to bring it home 32 laps. But what they've done, they've knocked 2 stops out of the way. So this is the strategy that tended to come out on top in race 1, didn't it? The top split. Pity to say I messed up with the stops big time, Luke. That's the problem with watching a replay, isn't it? Yeah. Probably, I think Quaney 57 and Wayne Lecomte, they'll all be watching this back now thinking, oh, gee, we should have gone in for a pit stop. Because what it is, if you look at the strategy, they're now 2 stops behind everyone else. So Scott Gamble's made 2 stops. Oh no, sorry, he hasn't. I do apologise. I've read that wrong. So Gamble's only made 1 stop. All these drivers have only made 1 stop. They did it on lap 2. I was reading the wrong column there. I thought they doubled up, which was some talk in the drivers' chat about whether or not they would do that under safety car, just come in and do all their stops in a row. So they're all 1 stop down to Jason Fewens. Now Jason Fewens, who didn't make the best start, he has made the 2 stops, so I'll get that right now. Sorry about that. So Pitt, Quain and Lecomte only 1 stop behind Scott Campbell. But Quainey also saying should have stopped. Troy Sill saying I've got to drive through, so that's why he's gone through the lane, so I do apologise. Thanks for keeping me on my toes tonight. Of course, with the double header, I'm going to be like a scatterbrain, I think, by the end of this one. But we'll get some drivers in for a chat, and I reckon we're going to go back to green flag racing now as the safety car is peeled out of the way. And the green light comes on, which means Simon Pitt takes us back underway, lap 5 of 50 of this split 2 race. Quaney 57 hot on his tail, then look at Gamble making a move on Lecomte to go back into 3rd. And then behind them, Hayes, Hunt, Dipitito, Travis Hunt there. Oh boy, that car does not look in good space at all. Now, was it Travis Hunt that got collected at the start? It may have been. I thought it was Reale. It may have been Hunt that was the car on P4 that didn't go anywhere off the line. Look at the way they're punching up behind Wayne Lecomte, who's got plenty of damage as well. Dipitito's now getting a good look at this little squabble in front as Hayes goes down the inside, just snatches the brakes, and hello. Oh, there's, well, they're pushing their way through. Hayes goes up into 4th, and also Mark Peck now arrives on the scene, and he says, I'll have a piece of you too, Mr. Dipitito, thank you very much. Jason comes back at him, under brakes, nice job, and almost gets back up into 6th place, but Wayne Lecomte now maintains that 6th place, good effort. So Pecky just in behind them, Latham, Martin, Barella, Hoffman's there as well. Remember, Hoffman started right up in 6th, wasn't on the grid, now falls back to 12th place. And he's just got to get his head down now, concentrate on this next part of the race. See if he can get himself back up into 5th. Dave Royal with the massive amount of stars. Thanks, buddy. You're an absolute legend. If you guys haven't gone and checked out the group production series that we're doing on Wednesday nights, about once a month now, please do so. It's Dave and all his mates from New South Wales and group production. It's been such a great fun little series to be involved in, and the racing's been tight. I like the sprint race format we've done in round 2 as well. I think well suited to the drivers that just want to get out there and have some good battles, so it's great. We've got about a month off now till the next one, but exciting racing from real world race car drivers as we watch Gamble out in front. We had a couple of good talks to Scott over the last couple of weeks. He's pushing on. They put a bit of a hold on their streaming just to concentrate on getting, I think, the rhythm and getting right back into this racing world, because he's a man that's been doing this for a while. Had quite a break then and sold all his gear from what I gather, and then he's just started getting back into it. I tell you what, he's got that consistency straight back again. He's just done a 1:31.8, and he's pulled that gap out to 1.7 seconds at the front over Quaney 57, who's yet to stop. So really, he's racing against this man, Travis Hunt, who stopped on lap 2 as well. I wonder if he didn't select fast repair, and that's why the car's come out looking like this fender bender. Because generally, in the first pit stop, that should have all been fixed. It should have fixed the panels on the side and bolted a new rear wing on the car. So Dave is saying still recruiting drivers as well. So if you want to get out there and have a crack with the group production series, go and check out one of the broadcasts, and then all the links are in there to go and talk to the series organisers. Especially if you run a real world production car or part of the racing in the real world. Get involved, have a go against them. It's good fun, good solid racing across V8 Supercars and the 2-litre TCR cars. So it's a mixed class fair as well, which is a lot of fun. Lap 7 of 50, Gamble leads. Let's go back down the order a bit to this battle between West and Healy. Riali and Barella's in there too. Let's jump on board with Tim Betts. He's at the back of the queue. In fact, he's got Rick Viger 1 second behind him, but he's looking forward at a 1.7 second gap to cover about 6 cars here. You can see how close it is as Riali or Barella, I think, bounced up over the curb there. Now he gets an overlap. This is on Scott Weston. They'll go wheel to wheel, and he should be able to make that stick. How colourful is that car for Betsy? 5 Goats Racing Team. So he gets past Weston. Next one up the road for him is Craig Healy. We've got a drive-through penalty for Jason Fewens for the incident with Todd Duggan on lap 1. So he's also been slapped on the wrist for that little mistake tonight. So we watched this. By the way, if you're watching over on Facebook and you're feeling a bit lonely because there's only 6 or 7 of you there's about 50 people over on YouTube. So that's where the party's at tonight. If you want to head over to YouTube, Taipan Events, look it up. You'll find us on Taipan Events over on YouTube, and you can get involved in that in full HD as well. So you watch this battle. Wayne Lecomp's leading this for 11th place, but he's under attack from Barella, who will go through and should be able to move up into 11th, which he does, sort of compact to 12. Riali in behind, also about to have a launch, I think, up the inside. Thought about it, then jumped out of the throttle. Through we go. How beautiful the trees look. Good job, Luke. And then you've got Riali, then Healy, then Betts, then Weston, then Viger, then Dave Bordock, who we've yet to speak about tonight, just slams that rev limiter, and he's currently 18th place, up 2 positions in the Mustang Blue 37. Dave Bordock. Kathy Bett's portrait's been wiped off the side of the car. Luckily, Kathy can go and repaint the livery back on. Maybe put a little pet portrait of my little Buford as well on the side of that car would be pretty cool. Rick Viger in the mix here with John King, who's a little bit out of position, unfortunately. He's been lapped. He's down in 24th place for JWM Motorsports. It hasn't been the best start to his night, sadly. And he runs back down the order, although he's having a shot, isn't he? He's trying to get that lap back as he challenges here. Rick Viger goes down the inside and job done. Good overtake and laps himself. Wayne Lecomp's gone off there. We'll lose a couple of positions as well. The green P plater as he fights his way through. Don't forget, all these drivers over the age of 40, you would not know it. They absolutely love it. Ben Anthony says, what's happened to the blue 37? It's gone back to the white 37. There's a lot of white on that blue 37, isn't there? He's got the highlights. Blue highlights. Maybe he's got the blue highlights in his hair now. But yep, definitely the white and blue 37 PRA. Back to the lead battle. Now this is for second and third. 3.6 seconds is the gap from first to second. 3/10 then cover the next 2 drivers, and Simon Pitt just in behind there in P4. Remember, Pitt and Quain out of this top 4 have not stopped for fuel, so they've shot themselves in the foot in a way as far as making this 3-stop strategy work tonight. Now if you've just joined us and for round 8 and you're a regular follower of the V8 veterans, they're now running for the rest of this season a compulsory 3-stop strategy, which means you've got to try and work it around less fuel saving and more racing hard, and obviously taking advantage of loopholes like safety cars to get your pit stops done. But what it means, you can also overfuel the car. So if they start on 60 litres of fuel, you're not capped at only putting 60 or 80 litres back in the tank next stop. You put a full 110 litres in the car. Obviously that's going to add some weight. It's going to add some weight to the car, but you're going to be able to then run long. And what we saw in race 1 is you can stop. Good battle in front, isn't it? Look at Hunt hunting down 2057. Let's jump on board with him. So what it means, you can stop at lap 18 in this race and get it home to the finish. So it's a long, long run of fuel. Steve says 50 people watching, only 13 likes. Come on, people. Yeah, smash that like button. It helps the algorithm, helps people see it, especially if they're liking iRacing. They might just rock up here and see what the vets is all about. That's what we want. It's Quaney 57 holds on to second for now. Fuel strategy or pit strategy, there it is up on the screen, the top 18. This shows Gamble stopped on lap 2. He's now 7 laps into his second stint. Hunt, same strategy. Second and fourth haven't stopped yet. Everyone else for that lap 2, except for Latham. And Peter Latham just ticking around nicely at the moment, just ahead of Andrew Hoffman in 8th place. Now he stopped on lap 1 straight away. Got that first stop in. The Hoff challenging, looks to the inside, goes down the inside. Andrew Hoffman, there he is. He appears to the right of screen and he moves himself through up into. Or did he get through there? Hoff, no, Hoff's behind. That was a lap car, in fact. So interesting. Let me get that right. That was Jason Fewens. I gave the Hoff all the credit for that move, but that's Jason Fewens coming back from a couple of pit stops and also a drive-through penalty. Fewens on the march back. We've got WK and PTV in the house as well. Don't forget, go over to their YouTube channel, give them a subscribe because we're heading straight there after this 50-lap race. Split number 3, but what's important tonight as well is that track selection for pre-qualifying for season number 12. So they're going to spin the wheel and select which tracks will be used for next season's pre-qualifying. Very important aspect to this series now to get you 1, sorted into your splits, and 2, ready to race. Borella and Todd Martin are fighting here over 10th place. Car looks good, doesn't it? Wodonga Cars and Parts, not a mark on the Borella cabinets. Number 58 at this stage anyway. Pristine. Todd Martin behind him. Then you got Riali. His fight back continues for Hypersonic Racing. And Tim Betts next in tow. They've been interlocked since the get-go, these drivers. 14th place, Craig Healy, then Rick Feiger. We'll be watching this now, running 15th, and he would have been cheering on Chad, who got himself a podium tonight in the top split. Scott Weston then runs 16th ahead of Dave Baldock. 17th place, and it's Wayne Lecomte, who's sitting back in 18th. That damage still evident on the car, has not stopped in the race, so he's running a very, very long first stint here. Peter Vanderkram behind him. Angry Birds Racing, then it's Dave Worrell up 4 spots into the top 20, Duggan 21st. Troy Sipple back in 22nd place, has that car fully repaired now and looking beautiful as it always does. Constantine Solutions, big thanks for their sponsorship once again for another season here at the V8 Vets, and a big thanks to SimSpec Engineering, Bay 21 and Type N Events, of course, hosting this all up, and as well as hosting our YouTube channel. Absolute legends. So just so you're aware of what the spinning wheel of death looks like, there it is. And Anthony's just sent me that, as we've got a post-race penalty for John King for the incident with Scott Weston. So there's their spinning wheel. That's what will be used to pick out the tracks. You can see plenty of good tracks on there. Winton, Oran Park, Road America, Road Atlanta, Circuit of the Americas, Nürburgring, Okayama, Suzuka, Barcelona. So all the tracks basically in iRacing are on there. Ready for some spinning wheel action later on tonight. Thanks, Ben Anthony. Out in front, the Evolution Racing Team, Logitech G driver Scott Gamble, looking very, very settled, isn't he? 6.7 seconds. Comfortable lead. He's got a slightest bit of damage, I think, on the right front. I'm just trying to zoom in on that. Or is it just the line on the paintwork? I'm just trying to see. It looked a little bit crinkled. Let's see if we can pick it up. Is that a little bit damaged? I think it is. Slightly just crinkled. It is. You can see the tyre just protruding slightly from the front guard. So he's hit something on the right-hand side. Other than that, it hasn't affected his lap speed as Travis Hunt now stops for his stop. It has not affected Scott Gamble's race speed at all. A 130.93, his ultimate lap pace. Remember, they were low. I think it was a 129.3 was the fastest lap time we saw in split 1. Same conditions, so it just goes to show that gap that Gamble still will be searching for to race up against the top split 1 drivers is still around maybe a full second, maybe 0.8 of a second race pace to find, which you'll definitely find, don't you worry, over the course of the next 4, 5, 6 weeks before we head into season number 12. Warchild 63 says, I love seeing the Betts livery, something different. It does stand out, doesn't it? Look at that. Very cool. It's got some, trying to work out what the figure is on the side, the anime figure. Oh, big wobble of the tail there for Todd Martin, WCM driver, Scorpion eSports. Wow. he held that very, very well. It was a big wobble. Let's go back to Tim Betts' car and just try and focus in. What can we see about this livery? He's got some sponsorship on there. Five Goats Racing Team is the name of the team. Cosmics Racing Wheels, I think it is, on the side. Very, very cool. Big Timmy on the back. Timmy! In the back wing of that car. Legend. Timmy Betts there. Up 5 spots into the top 12 now. Good. Apparently the damage on the front, he says, Scott Campbell says, ask RC. Now, is that race control? Or Roy Clark? Is Roy Clark out there? No, he's not. Campbell in control. Tim Betts now on the back of Todd Martin. We saw Todd Martin's car starting to move around, shake, rattle and roll. What can he do here with this pressure forming behind from the Ford Mustang of Tim Betts? He's really closed up. That last lap around, it was a 1:34.5, a 33.6 for Tim Betts. So he was about 8 tenths quicker, 9 tenths quicker on the previous lap. So can he get through though? Oh, a big mistake there, Todd Martin. He goes across the chicane. He'll have to give that position up anyway. And I think you'll find Craig Healy will probably follow Betts through, which he does. And Todd, with that mistake, loses 2 for 1. And that meal deal puts him back to 13th place. So Betts up to 11th. Healy goes through to 12th. There's 9 spots of elevation for Craig Healy. So far in the race tonight. Good job. Back to Paul Hayes and Tito racing over 3rd and 4th spot. 5th in fact, so 4th and 5th. And Hayes at the moment just edging out Tito, but Tito is also on the charge. He's half a second quicker on the previous lap. Ultimate lap pace is about 16 hundredths of a second better than Paul Hayes. So if he can close this down and try and work his way through, he may end up just doing exactly what Tim Betts did before, and that's show and apply good pressure, and the other car in front might make the error. So some of these race circuits where it's a little bit hard to pass on, that's what it's about, just applying the pressure and then forcing the error. Roy Clark says, not Roy Clark, too busy drinking. Well, let's see what I'd sting for a beer right now. I'm a no beer bender right now, so I'm into my can of Sunkist here. But I should have poured a big glass of red wine. I reckon that would have been ideal for this double head broadcast tonight. Lap 15 of 50. I'm happy to talk to some drivers throughout this one too, just to give my voice a slight little break here and there. So if you want to come up for a chat at any point, land yourself in the green room. We'll say g'day. No spoilers, of course. We ask that the drivers respect that there's people loving watching this, including myself, that don't want to know the result. I do everything I can. I know when I first started doing replay broadcasts for vets, it would always give me the results as soon as I had to look up the grid order, because I had to actually punch in the grid order manually. Now I don't need to do that, thanks to SDK, who made some modifications to their software on my request. It's fantastic because I can load the replay file. As long as I don't hit results by mistake, I don't know who wins this, and that's absolutely enthralling because you just never know. Like the split one race tonight came down to the wire. You just weren't sure if Favell had the legs to get through and take the win, as we watched Quaney 57 staying ahead of the Pity Pit Machine. The Pity Pit Machine privateer. Let's jump on board with him. Up over the crest, you can just hear the revs rise slightly as it crests the hill, gets light, and that horsepower back tyres let go for that moment, and they just spin up a little bit. They spin up a little bit more out of the right-hander there as he applied the throttle, and they didn't bite. Buy me a drink first, says Quaney. What's that about? I'll buy you a drink. I'll shout you a drink, a virtual drink tonight. Can you shout virtual drinks? I don't know. We're 16 laps in now. So remember, we're 2 laps off where you could make your 3rd stop and get home. Now, I'm not sure how many drivers thought that far ahead. Pitt's into the pits now for his first stop, isn't it? So here's, Paul Hayes is coming through. He'll move up into the top 3 position now, but we're looking at drivers. The big count for some of these drivers. The 2 stops already goes to Rick Feiger. Now remember Chad, his brother, did something very, very similar in split 1 tonight and got himself a podium. Rick's on the same sort of trajectory here, and Travis Hunt as well. Back here for Scorpion Esports, he's similar. He's also made 2 stops. Peter Vanderkran's made 2 as well. Any of these drivers, Todd Duggan, he's made 2. They could all end up close to a podium at the end of this race if something similar to what we saw in split 1 reoccurs again now, which is fantastic. Beers up. Gamble's done that. Anthony as well. We've got the beers up in there. Fantastic. It's good to have you guys partying on a Friday night. And a big thanks to Ben and everyone for their understanding last night. I just couldn't do. I had to travel to Gosford and back last night for work requirements for this weekend, and meant I couldn't do the split 1 live last night. But the absolute legends letting me do this double-headed tonight. So thank you and all the supporters. We approach 100 broadcasts for the V8 fans. I've got to say it's been an absolute pleasure doing this for you guys and being part of watching this series grow. I've always been fond of the V8 vets. Before I was even broadcasting, I was always fond of this series. I loved it. I thought, you know, you don't get the larrikinism. You still get a lot of, you know, jovial behaviour. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of smart Alex and a lot of laughing that goes on, as there is with the. You get, what is it, 100 or so 40-plus-year-old blokes together to race. There's going to be a lot of joking around, but when they get out on the track, they do take it seriously, and you don't tend to get too many silly moments out there, which I really appreciate. It's good fun, good clean racing. They do generally leave good space, and when they do make mistakes, they tend to put their hand up and say, "Yep, I stuffed up there, and I'll take the penalty for doing so." So it's a great series, good one to be involved in. If you want to be involved, you can still probably contact their admin, Ben Anthony, and see if you can jump on for the next season. But it is a hell of a booked out season now. I think, what are we up to, Ben? I know he's listening. Are we up to over 100 drivers for season 12, which kicks off in 4 or 5 weeks' time? We must be close. I know the list of names is just huge when you look at it. Scott Gamble coming through. We're going to ride on board for him, give my voice a rest for a lap here. We're going to jump on board VisorCam with Scott Gamble. Enjoy this, folks. Here we go. Lap on board with Scott Gamble, and he looks so smooth out there and in control, doesn't he? Absolutely flying. Jason Divizito still holds on to 3rd place as well, and he's going along nicely. Mark Peck battling with the Hoff, who's just behind him as well. The Hoff's car lurching around there off the curb, but it does look in good stead, doesn't it? It's got a nice straight line to every panel compared to Mark Peck, I think, who's had a couple of scrapes here and there. There's the Pecky Performance Racing car, Mark Peck. Maybe I'm wrong there. I thought it had a little bit hanging out on the front. No, it's all good. So he's Supercar, both in pretty good shape. Weston and Healy are both in the pits now for their second stop by the looks of things. And at this stage of the race, lap 20, so we're a fair way in now, approaching that half race distance. And the window's also now open for completing the race with one stop. So what that means is your drivers that are 2 stops in now, Rick Feiger being one of them in 10th place, this guy here, he could easily just stop now and that's it to the end of the race. So he's looking in a really good position. Here's the list of the drivers, by the way, for next season. Yeah, the entry list here is massive. Look at that. It's next season's entry list of names and teams. So I think there's well over 100 there without me spending the time counting them all up quickly now. It's a huge list. And quite a few new drivers too. All those green ones that you just saw on that listing, they're all new drivers, so obviously name and team. So we're going to get some new names out there. A couple of the new drivers. I'm just having a quick look at some of the names now, but Jeremy Wheeler, Stephen Gresh, Michael Rosenblatt. I know of Michael, I've seen him racing before. Brian Nagy, he'll be out there. John Vorder, Tory Power. Brendan O'Loughlin will be there. Brett Taylor, Mitchell Bolton, James Allen, Roderick Hollis. So many new names coming out there. Corey Savage, Rick Sibra, Joseph Grenshaw, Chad Lewis. So many new drivers. That's what I love. I mean, obviously you've got your returning drivers. We've got all the old faithful that we love, but we've got a stack of new ones coming in, trying to knock the old boys off the perch, and considering they're all old boys, that's one talent to possess. So Old Mate and Sons, just letting people know too, there's some spare seats for the new drivers. So if you're keen to join a team, there's a couple of teams out there that would welcome you on board, so don't feel you have to be a privateer, especially after the first round or two. If you can show that you got some talent there, some of these well-established teams might just be contacting you and saying, hey, would you like to come and join our stable? Part of the advantage of being in a good team is the fact that you can go and do some training together. You can quite often chat strategy together live during the race. They can be on one Discord channel and just on the fly make a few changes, say, hey, listen, this new 3-stop thing is a little bit odd. We need to knock a few of these pit stops off early, otherwise we're going to be trying to do 3 or 2 more stops at the end of the race, and that may not just work out for us tonight. You can see Rick Feiger's now up into 8th place. In fact, he's now going to go up higher. He's going to be up around 5th place on that 2-stop strategy already, with 1 more to go. Rick Feiger's elevated himself now up into what is a winning position here. Travis Hunt as well, ultimately sitting in P2. Now they are 44 or so seconds back, but you've got to remember those top guys are going to need to take a fair bit of fuel on board. So Scott Gamble, who's leading the race, in his second stop, he'll probably need to take around 20 seconds worth of fuel and then still make 1 more pit stop, whereas Rick Feiger, Hunt, and who else? Hoffman, Vanderkran, Peter Latham, they've only got 1 more stop to make in this race, and they'll just be tyre stops. They'll take a little bit of fuel whilst putting the tyres on, but nice and easy. So it's Daylight behind Scotty, 20.4 seconds back to Paul Hayes, and the gap to the next lap car 2.3, so he'll just be watching that up the road, watching the relative to that lap car. It's one of the Wodonga Cars and Parts cars of Barella, so he'll just be watching that gap and thinking, right, let's get through past this guy cleanly. Maybe thinking now about his second pit stop as well. Meanwhile, Quaney 57 interlocked here with Dave Baldock down the inside. Dave Baldock he shuts the door, says, yeah, you're not coming through there, and then he makes a little bit of a meal of it on corner exit. Quaney gets alongside for a moment, now he tucks back in behind. We'll have to try and do that all over again. So Michael Quain, Old Mates and Sons, one of the teams we were just chatting about, recruiting new drivers. Oh, a bit of contact with the back of Dave Baldock there as well. no love lost between those two. 7th place at the moment for Dave Lord. I'll be enjoying this inside the top 7. The pace of these drivers in split 2, around the 131s, 132s in race trim at this stage of the race. Now in split 1 we're seeing probably low to mid 1 minute 30 flats and 1 minute 31s at the most, but we're about a second and a half, maybe 2 seconds off the pace down here in P8 compared to the top split. Gets an overlap now, Quain. He'll try and make this work on Bordock, which he does. He gets through and moves himself up into 7th. Dave Bordock back into 8th, up 12 positions though in the race. So pat on the back. Kathy Pet Portraits on the side of that right hand side anyway, well and truly visible for all to see. Right, the leader's in the pits. This is Gamble in for his second and final stop, and he goes right to the end of the bay, which is great for him. Look at that, empty pit boxes behind him. Paul Hayes is in, Dipetito's in as well. This is their second stop. See how much fuel he takes on board. It's been 10 seconds stationary now. Obviously the tyres will be going on. Rick Viger came in. No, he didn't. He stayed out. I thought he might have crashed on the way in. Actually, it was Todd Martin. He may have just missed the final corner. A cloud of dust down there. And he's just rejoined behind Travis Hunt, but he went across the exit and he's gone wide again. Look at that. I wonder if he hasn't got damaged, because that's pushed well wide through turn 1. It didn't look like he was doing anything overly wrong there, but when he's asked it to turn, he has got damage on that left-hand side. Just have a look at that. If we get a shot of the left-hand side, look at that back wheel pushed in. I reckon that might be rubbing on the guard, and it's affecting the way this car is handling and turning into the corners. You'll need to go get that stopped and fixed as well, though. Use what's called a fast repair and get that all back into shape. Now Rick Weigel leads the race. Check this out. He's come out. Well, Gamble's come out of the pits right behind him. So this has worked out perfectly for Rick Viger, who now leads the race on lap 24, the halfway point of the race. And Gamble will want to try and clear him as quickly as possible. This has also put Travis Hunt, who's on the same strategy. All 3 of these top 3 drivers now have made 2 stops. Only 1 more stop to go on Gamble. Nice work. Goes down the inside, and also Travis Hunt sees the door open. He wants to have a play as well. He gets alongside there, door to door, these two. Look how close it is. And wheel to wheel into the braking zone for the second to last corner. And around the outside, Travis Hunt will hold position. Good driving. And Rick Viger falls back to 3rd spot now. So well done. Gamble back into the lead. Up 2nd, Viger 3rd, Todd Martin 4th, then it's Michael Quain rounding out your top 5. Great racing. Right, where's Johnny Van Ree? I want to get him in for a quick pre-drivers lounge chat. So Johnny Van Ree, to the green room. You've been summoned. I want to ask you about what's going on tonight over on the drivers lounge. What sort of shenanigans people can expect? Because I've got to say, 2 props for everyone that's hanging out tonight, because it's a long night to watch a lot of sim racing. We've been live now for what, we started at 6:30, so what is it? Just on 2.5 hours, would that be right? Close to 2.5 hours of broadcasting straight to this point. Bit of time to go. Still waiting on Johnny to come over. I'm counting how long it takes. See if it takes him within a couple of minutes to land in the green room. We'll have a quick chat, but they're going to have that all staged up, ready to go. They'll pick those pre-qualifying tracks for next season as well. There's some drivers out there that probably fancy a few of those names of tracks being off the list. What are they going to think if the Nürburgring or the Nordschleife comes up as one of those pre-qualifying tracks? We are heading there. We did show it earlier today, that calendar for season 12. Look at that. We're going to the Nordschleife down on August 18th. They're going to do 10 laps. That is going to be, I reckon, one of the most interesting nights I've had to commentate. I'm going to have to learn a lot of corner names as well. It's a great track. I've tried so many times to learn it. Getting out there in a Porsche Rough or something and just trying to cruise my way around the racetrack and learn all the little sections, all the little nuances and tough bits to get right. There's some braking zones which can really creep up on you. But it's a hard one to remember, such a long racetrack. on board there with Travis Hunt. He chases down Rick Viger. Scott Gamble's just done a new fastest lap of the race, by the way, a 1:30.4. So he's turned the wick up in a big way now, 4.4 seconds clear of this battle we're watching. And Rick under a lot of pressure now, isn't he, from Travis. David Middleton's saying with the V8s. Yep, V8s around the Nordschleife for season 12's Queen Mega. So, gee whiz, this is a good fight between Viger and Hunt. Travis right on the back bar again, almost pushing Rick Viger off the corner to get him to hurry up a bit. They can see Gamble up in the distance. He's just in behind a lap car now, and almost contact again. It's so close. The way they can close up and just get within millimeters of the car in front but not make contact is beyond me. I'm always impressed when I see that. Let's go back to this battle with Betts as well. This is Healy and Betts fighting over the top 10 place. Healy's under pressure and Tim Betts goes down the inside. Nice move once again. That bright coloured Five Goats Racing Team car moves his way through and up another position in the background. Mark Peck now engages the back of Craig Healy. He wants a part of this little battle. And this is over 11th place now. Dave Middleton says, with this series, how much talent versus setup? Nearly 40 with the new rig, just curious. Well, the setup, it's a fixed setup. And they all have the exact same gear underneath them. So that's one of the best things about V8 veterans. They're all over the age of 40. And Jamie McKnight and a few other little people that chime in will work on a setup each week, give it to the drivers with plenty of notice so they can practice it. You can then go and save that setup as well, use it in other competitions, and it is a top class setup. So if you're wondering, yeah, David, it's all completely even out there. So sure, there can be a little bit of difference with, you know, your brand of sim racing gear. If you've got the top line direct drive stuff, sometimes it can just help you a little bit, but there's also guys out there on very basic, I'm not going to name names, but very basic steering wheel setups, like, you know, $300 for a steering wheel and pedals. They still do very well in this series. So you've got to think a lot of it comes down to how much time is put in, how much practice is put in, and also some talent, not necessarily real world racing talent as well. Sometimes guys just click. Being able to drive, different senses are required for sim racing as opposed to driving a real life race car at top speed. Generally the real life guys do get it eventually, and they can move across the senses that, you know, they don't necessarily get the seat of the pants sensation, but they then start to pick it up in different ways, whether it be through the force feedback of the steering wheel or through the sound even. I've talked to a lot of drivers over the years that have commented on how much they use the sound of the tyres, for example, to know what sort of slip angle they're on and how much they can push through the corners and acceleration zones, all that sort of thing. So there's a lot to it, a lot to learn, but in a series like this, you're going to also fall amongst a group of drivers that are always happy to lend a hand and help those that are struggling a bit pick up the pace and work out what they're doing wrong, which is fantastic as we continue to watch Quain and Hoffman here fight over 4th place. Mock Quain up 14 spots, only one stop though for him. Once again, as we look at that pit strategy, you can see it's a bit of a dog's breakfast up the top. Gamble and Hunt are on a similar strategy, but that middle stint was offset, 21 laps for Gamble versus 10 laps for Hunt. He's now 16 laps into the tyres and struggling a bit compared to Gamble, who's only 5 laps in. You can see then Viger, completely different again. He's made 2 stops, but he did lap 1 and then lap 2. And then he's done now 26 laps on this 3rd stint. Quaney, he split it in half, basically 18 laps for the first stint, now 10 laps into the second. He'll need to stop once more. In fact, he'll need to stop twice more. So he's not in the best place as far as strategy goes. Hoffman, Hayes and Dibatito, they'll all need to only stop once more, so they're in a pretty good place as well. So there's a lot to take in with the strategy tonight. This new 3-stop compulsory pit stop strategy is definitely going to take probably just a few weeks for everyone to get their head around. In the longer races, yeah, it'll be fantastic for drivers that just want to cut down tyre wear life and just extend 3 even stops. But in these shorter 200-kilometre sprint races, it's almost like you've got to force yourself to take a stop when you don't really feel like you need to. And I like that as well, because once again it's just throwing an extra little question mark in for the drivers, making them work, making them think. Fantastic. Lucas Burst says they've gone faster with every upgrade of equipment. Still slow. I don't think you're that slow, mate. Keep up the good work. Car off the track, Todd Duggan. And who's that? There's another car off there in the weeds. Picking up who it is. Is it Jason Fewens? Might have been Fewens, I reckon. He's just coming back on. He's doing a bit of grass mowing. High speed grass mowing there for Jason Fewens. He's come back on now in 23rd place. So probably a night he'd rather forget. He started up at the front end of the grid. That's ended up not going to plan. Travis Hunt and Rick Viger in for their third and final stop now. So once again, they're just coming in before Scott Gamble, trying for the undercut. The fuel amount taken on last stop, 19.6 for Travis Hunt. It was 20.7 for Gamble. I'd say it's going to be more tyre. The time will be more dictated by the tyre change for this final stop. It'll be as short as possible. Big thanks to our star legends tonight as well, as we get a post-race penalty there for Jason Fewens for an incident with Todd Duggan on lap 30. But thanks Dave Worrell with the stars, Maddie, Christine, Mark, Peter and Keith with the stars tonight. Absolute legends. And I think there was someone else right at the start too. Eddie, don't forget Eddie and Deborah. Thank you so much for your support on the star count, which pops up on Facebook. Of course it's not necessary, but thank you very much. It does help me go to keeping all my equipment up to scratch here to try and bring you the best broadcast I can as a solo broadcaster. I always thought everyone was a solo broadcaster, and then I find out that usually it's groups of 2 or 3. So it's fantastic. You guys are my eyes and ears. I always say that. Thank you for all your help and correcting all my stuff ups too. As we see Scott Gamble, 26.9 seconds out in front. Still need to make another stop now. He'll be watching Travis Hunt as the benchmark here. Now Hunt's coming out in 12th place. As we have a little hiccup with the replay file there, but Hunt's in 12th place now. He's stopped for 3 stops now. Lap 30 was his third stop. Took 28.2 seconds to make that stop. And just watching what was going on at this time last night, Dave Baldock. Was this when someone was maybe on your Netflix or smashing your home Wi-Fi? Just a couple of hiccups on the replay recording there. But Travis Hunt, like I was saying, he's back there in 12th. Now the gap over a minute to Scott Gamble. In fact, it's 1 minute and 3 seconds. So that's looking pretty good for Scott retaining the lead. But it will put Travis back into a podium spot, probably second. It's 35 seconds up the road to the Hoff. And the Hoff is running in P2. Hayes just behind him. They all need to stop again. And you've got Dibatito. Peter Vanderkrant, he's on this set of tyres since lap 3. So remember, he stopped at the end of lap 1, then the end of lap 2. And then lap 3 went out, and he's been racing since then on this set of tyres. I do apologise for these little hiccups. There's nothing we can do about that. That's just the replay file losing packet data whilst being recorded last night. So we may get a few of those, but I'm hoping it doesn't interfere too much with the racing. 18 laps to go now. This 50-lap, 200-kilometre race in Zolder, and it's still Scott Gamble in the box seat. Back in the pack a little bit, Mark Peck and Troy Sipple. These guys will be enjoying this racing, even though they're back in 19th and 20th. Still, it's always fun to go wheel to wheel, and Pecky at the moment, just with the upper hand. He's just made another pit stop on lap 30. Troy Sipple's last stop was lap 19. Both drivers, 3 stops completed, and run to the end of the race. Being waved there, that was for Lecomte going through. That's the first time I've seen the iRacing flag marshal actually wave a blue flag. I'm impressed by that. Well done. Craig Healy, Scott Weston. Hey, tell me, will iRacing actually penalise for disobeying blue flags yet? Because that was one thing when I was racing, I used to get a little bit annoyed that blue flags tended to go by the wayside. In a series like this where you've got real life race control, you've got two blokes always watching everything that goes on. Generally they'll ping you if you disobey blue flags, but in an official iRacing race, I'm not sure the computer system really cares too much about blue flags still. Someone might correct me if I'm wrong about that as we watch Craig Healy, a couple of Taipan eSports drivers. Now, what's the deal with the different liveries? I've noticed that tonight a couple of the Taipan cars have got a different emphasis on their liveries. One of them, I think Scott Weston running the older Taipan livery and Craig Healy running the newer one. Is that right? Is that the deal? They both look very smart. I'm enjoying this new style livery though. This looks fantastic. Hoff's in now for his third and final stop. Andrew Hoffman was running up there in the top four. He'll drop down probably to about 6th or 7th here. Van der Kran's in as well. Healy will be elevated up 4th. Weston up to 5th. And Tim Betts just coming onto the pit straight now, still fighting with Jason Fewens, who's down a lap. So Fewens here desperately trying to regather that lap. He's tucked right up behind Timmy Betts in the Five Goats Racing Team car. So Fewens he'll be dirtied himself probably that this race didn't end up where he thought it probably could have. But I think he's going to get this lap back sooner than later. He's pressing very hard here at the back of Tim Betts. You're always got to be careful and keeping the back in mind when you're unlapping yourself. You do not want to make contact with the car in front that's up a lap from you. So crucial time now. Gamble in the lane for his third and final stop. We'll see where that brings him out in comparison to Travis Hunt, who is the next driver that's made his 3 stops already. So Hunt just coming through the halfway point of the circuit now, so Gamble should easily get out well in front. He just goes up on the jacks now, and he's making his final pit stop. Don't forget we've got the links just come across, so we'll flick that over into the chat. But the split 3, I'm not sure that's going to work actually, because I just pasted the Discord link. I'll try and actually just select that YouTube link, see if I can do a better job of that. That YouTube link is for the split 3 broadcast, which will start at the end of this one tonight. So let me just try that once more for you. That's a bit better. So I'll paste that over on Facebook as well for anyone that wants to tune in to YouTube for Wodonga Cars and Parts and the split 3 broadcast, which will start in about 15 laps time. Craig Healy moves up into 2nd. He's only 2 stops so far, and Travis Hunt came all the way up to 5th after all that. So the gap is 21 seconds between the 2 top drivers that have made their 3 stops and can go to the end of the race. So it's a little bit drawn out. It's going to be not the similar sort of battle I think we saw at the end of split 1. I think at this stage it looks like Scott Gamble's got this pretty much in control. Paul Hayes still holding on to 10th. He has 3 stopped as well. He's in a little grouping here that's 3 stopped. So the Hoff has 3 stopped. So is Rick Viger, so is Paul Hayes, and so has Jason Dibattito. Then you look back to Peter Latham. He's also 3 stopped, and so is Mark Peck. Dave Bordock yet to come in for his 3rd and final stop. He's up in 16th place. He'll need to come in as well. And then you've got Simon Pitt back in 20th place. He's only 2 stops. I think another driver that's was just coming to terms with this 3-stop strategy being required tonight. Craig Healy's in the pits. Scott Weston, I think, will stay out. He does. Weston goes through up into P2 now. 133 there. A fair way off the pace, aren't they? Race pace anyway of Scott Gamble out in front. So Healy and Betts in the lane. What about Reali? He stays out. He goes past both of them. So Mario up into 5th now. Andrew Hoffman back into 6th. He's triple stopped. So he's possibly on for a podium tonight in the Hoff. Great to see him up there again. So apparently Apparently doesn't like me posting YouTube link on YouTube. It's interesting. But I'm sure you guys can easily go and search for WKMP TV. That's where you'll find the Split 3 broadcast. Reali trying to keep the Hoff out here. He just goes bouncing across the curb, leaves a bit of space. Now the Hoff gets alongside. Took him a long time to pick up the throttle. Reali, now he does. The Hoff sweeps around the outside, says thank you very much. I'll take that 5th position and I'll run on with it. He misses the entry. Goes very deep in there. He got it stopped. Now will he have to give back some time to iRacing? Will they figure that was a fair overtake? Sometimes if you cut a corner by that much, iRacing will make you give back some time. You need to get right out of the throttle for 4 or 5 seconds, but it looks like he's got away with that. Scott Gamble does a 1:30.1, so he's turned the wick up another notch at the top. 19.8 seconds now the gap with 13 laps to go. Gamble is in a world of his own. So that's teetering on top split pace now, isn't it? The top of the top split. It's right up there. We saw it 29.3. So what's that? That's 8/10 faster. It was the best lap time we saw in split 1. That was a pretty incredible lap as well from Greg Favell. So Scott Gamble just showing that he's got that split 1 speed, and he probably would have been running up in the top 4, top 5, maybe even top 3, be it if he'd been in the top split for this race tonight at Zolder. So he's got to be confident with that, coming back into sim racing, getting the feel for it again. It's obviously like riding a horse. You get the senses back, you start to feel comfortable with the braking again, the accelerating, the rolling through the corners, and just getting the overall feel of the car. Because you've got to remember too, it's it's someone else's setup you're driving with, so it's not necessarily perfect to how you would like the car set up, but generally they are a very good setup. But you've got to come to terms with that. You've got to then transfer that over to the racetrack that you're racing at week in, week out, and then find the consistency just to do quick lap times, not once, not twice, but lap after lap. And that's what generally these top guys do. You just see them knock out consistent quick lap times, and that's why we're going to see Scott Gamble, I think, elevated to top split next season and be right up there. How we going? We're still live on YouTube. Give us a quick shout out, say good day. What are we now? We're just over 3¼ hours in to broadcasting. No, sorry, 2¾ hours in. Got 12 laps to go. Facebook's died in the arse, so we're going to concentrate here on YouTube. We're going to quickly talk to John Van Ree, who's standing by to do the spinny wheel and then also split 3 tonight. G'day, John. Welcome to the broadcast, mate. And what have you got in store for us tonight?
Oh, of course, we've got the qualifying wheel of misfortune.
Misfortune.
Wheel of fortune, as someone else has also quoted it, one of our Mustang drivers. So we've got that to highlight the 2 tracks that we'll be doing pre-qual on. So I drop in those, Luke, and say, mate, you're doing a great job tonight, considering you got 2 races back to back, and a bit like myself, you've got the old croaky Rona voice.
Yeah, mate. I'm looking at the track listing. Is it basically every track that's been put on that wheel?
The one we sent out to Mark Dial was basically Coda and Oran Park.
Right.
But for the rest of us, yeah, Benny's put every track on it, and I think it's probably the fairest way to roll out the 2 tracks we're going to do our pre-qual for season 12 on.
If you could pick one, what would it be?
Look, I always seem to do a reasonable job around... There, you've got me on the spot here. I always seem to probably do a reasonable job around Road America, because I know Dave Baldock doesn't like it.
I get the impression sometimes that Vets for you anyway is just a battle with Dave Baldock. There's no one else to compete against. It's just Dave.
Look, Dave being in split 2 and myself in split 3, I've managed to find a few other guys to call protagonists. And as you know, it's all about the antagonists, the protagonists, and the contenders. From our promo for the Project G Invitational Pro Series.
Yep.
But I tell you what, I just love racing with these boys. The split 3 boys have really got a good camaraderie amongst themselves, and it's just nice not sort of having the quick guys coming from the back going through them all the time, and we're having some really good racing down in split 3 now.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and obviously it's always good fun too. I do jump in and out, usually when I'm going to sleep because it's quite late. I use up all the early time doing mine, but then you're on the late show. But as I jump into bed, I usually chuck the phone on and have a quick listen, man. It's always light-hearted, good fun, laughing, and that's what I love to see. So good job with what you're doing there with Donga Karts and Parts TV.
Just having a bit of fun, Luke. Just trying to make sure we have some good camaraderie between all the splits. All the drivers from all the splits are invited. Last week we had Jamie in there, which was pretty hard for anyone else to get a word in. But we do our best with what we do, and WKMP TV was really, I call it amateur hour compared with your professional, what you put on here. But the driver's lounge really is quite easy to do because it's a bit like, as you were saying about the Pro Series in Split 1. You sort of sit back and just press the buttons. So,
yep.
So the driver's lounge is pretty much the same. I sort of throw in the question about the hot topics, and the boys sort of spend the rest of the time answering all the questions, which is quite good. Fantastic,
man. So obviously people can go find you, WKMP TV, and you'll be going live straight after this. How long do you think the spinning wheel, obviously, is Ben going to jump on there and have a chat? Is it going to be 5 minutes to sort of spin that around and get it?
Yeah, probably about 5 minutes. Ben's got me penciled in to do it at 9:55, so we'll go live about then. Might just have a quick chat with Ben and myself, and maybe Mark Dial if he's around, and then after that we'll jump straight in the lounge where all the boys are welcome to join us. If you're Split 1, Split 2, jump in, say g'day. We're going to have some interesting topics to talk about this week after the racing, particularly with some of the incidents in Split 2, and also with the new fuel format. A lot of boys got caught out, and it'll be interesting to get the pros and cons and who's happy and who's not happy. And Jamie's not with us. We might even have a bit of a chat about the penalties that were handed out last week. So there's always something to talk about, and the guys are always up for a chat, which is great.
And you have to get Chad Viger in too, because he's about 100 beers in tonight. He'll be good for a chat.
Chad Viger, yeah. Chad
Viger. Not Chad, sorry, what am I thinking? I'm thinking Steve Viger. Sorry, let me get it right.
I was down in the general chat before with Vargs, and he's very quiet now, so...
Might have fallen asleep.
Yeah. Hats off to Vargs. It was a good win. It was a good win in Split 1 last night, and he should be pretty chuffed with himself. The new format was a real challenge for everybody, and he rolled the dice, and it paid off.
Very good. So we'll call the last 9 laps of this race, mate. Good luck with the broadcast later on, and people will be able to find you over there. We'll try and share the link again just prior to us finishing up here tonight. So thanks for coming in for a chat, John.
No worries, Lukey, and good luck with the Logitech G Pro Invitational Series that you're producing, mate. I'm looking forward to watching that.
Can't wait, man. It's going to be fun. So cheers, take care, and we'll see you later tonight.
Thanks, Luke.
Thanks, mate. John Van Ree, who's obviously heading over to go live shortly for Split 3, which is fantastic. I think I've lost the chat feed here, so I do apologise. I can't. It's dropped away from me completely, so I've still got you on Facebook, but we're obviously still live on YouTube. I went and checked that in the background while I was having a little stress out then, but I've lost the ability to read your chat comments, folks, so keep them coming. Obviously I'm going to keep trying to pick that up in the background here somehow, but right now it's died out on me, so I'm not sure what's going on there completely. But Scott Gamble still in control, 25 seconds the lead as he heads into this final chapter. It's the final 8 laps of this race. It's going to be a pretty comfortable win. Looking at it, we're now looking at the top 5 or 6 drivers have all done 3 stops. Quaney 57, he's the one that's on the wrong foot here in 7th place. He's going to need to stop again. That'll drop him right out of the top 15 probably, sadly, because it's been a great run for him tonight otherwise, but the strategy has caught him out. But you're going to see Dipatito stay 5th probably. The gaps around them. I mean, he's racing with Paul Hayes. Whether or not he can just gather that 1 second back whilst trying to keep Rick Weiger out in the last stage of this race will come down to also what he's got left in the tank. His best lap time of 32.6 and a 30.7 is matched almost to the 100th of a second there by Paul Hayes. So they're very even, and Rick Weiger has done a 31.2, so his ultimate lap time isn't anywhere near Dipatito and Hayes. So the fact that he's hanging on to the back of Jason here maybe suggests Jason has to save a little bit of fuel towards the end. He can't just go 10 tenths, which is, you know what we want to see with this 3-stop strategy. I think when we get to the longer races especially, it's going to really just change the aspect of racing. Generally, it's you see these laps which are 2 seconds quicker than what the average pace is. That's because that is the ultimate speed of these drivers, but they're forced to do these fuel-saving races. Whereas I think with the 3-stop coming in and being able to fuel the car to the brim, you're actually starting to see a lot more consistent fast laps, which, for example, Scott Gamble's just knocked off another 131, low 131. It's about a second off his best pace, but we're not talking 2 seconds off the pace, so he's still being able to use the majority of the throttle pedal. Around a lap here at Zolder as we go 43 of 50 in. This is the strategy up on the screen now, just for one more little check-in. The top 18, let's make that the top 10 is probably what we've got to concentrate on tonight. So there's your top 10 in strategy. And let's have a quick look at the stop time as well. So the actual pit stop time. Oh dear, as Jason DiPattito's just made a bit of a mistake there and gone into the fence, so he's backed it in. He's put a nose first into the fence. Quaney might get through. Quaney's just coming around the corner now as he recovers, and he will lose that spot. He has to go through in the middle there, and that's because Rick Weiger was having to give the position back. So Rick had to slow up there, and that's cost both of those big time. DiPattito, who I think was probably on the receiving end, has had to just slow up, and he was in the fence, so Rick's had to slow up give the spot back, and that's cost them both. So you can just see the stoppage time there, bottom of your screen. I'll try and just quickly show that. We'll get it up on the screen for you. And that just shows how long each stop was. So the last stop for Gamble, only 13 seconds. For Hoff, similar, 13.4, 16.4 for Hayes, 28.2 for Hunt in P2. That's because he short fueled the first couple of stops, which meant he had to put a lot more fuel in for the final stop. But it all evens out in the end, and that's why we love this 3-stop strategy. 6 laps to go. Gamble 25 seconds in the lead. The battle for third, probably the closest one we've got as far as the podium goes, because then it's 19 seconds back from Paul Hayes to Jason DiPattito after that incident. So between the Hoffman and Hayes, I think you can just see him. There he is, a little dot at the end of the straight. That's Andrew Hoffman from Paul Hayes' onboard. So you'll be just hoping you can just put a bit of pressure on now. If you can get that gap down under 2 seconds, then Hoffman might just start to get a little bit worried. And that's when the mistakes can form as well at the end of the race here. When you are just getting to the worry phase. Scotty McCune with the 500 stars. Thanks, Scotty. Absolute legend. And I do apologise, I cannot see any more YouTube chat. It's gone. I've done everything to try and reconnect it, but I've lost the feeds here, so I'll try and get it back up and running. I'm not sure why it's bugged out tonight. I'm going to actually head across to YouTube itself and make sure that's muted so I can see it over here. We'll just stop that. Hopefully the chat stays live. But, yeah. Mark Duggan saying super impressive from Scott Gamble. It is super impressive. He is flying along very, very well, isn't he? So as we entered the last 5 laps, just watching Todd Duggan, Nova Motorsports entrant. He's on the back of Mark Peck. Scott Weston's there as well. And Tim Betts has been impressive throughout the race tonight. Up 7 spots in the 5 Goats racing car. He continues just to not only be inside the top 10, but really he's only 1.5 seconds off a P6 here, or a P7. He can jump a few of these drivers in the last couple of laps. P2 can get himself a really good haul of points, which would be fantastic. You got Craig Healy in 11th, outside the top 10. We go back to 12th, Richard Barella. Riali then next in line with Pitt on his tail. And you've got to go back a further 12 seconds to Vanderkram. Vanderkram back in 15th place, but up 12 spots tonight, so good drive all in all. He'll be happy with that progress forward. Then Quaney 57, 3 stops done now, but it's put him back to 16th place. Todd Martin's in behind him, with then Peter Latham, Shadow Racing Racecraft entrant, 18th. Troy Sipple running 19th with Dave Baldock next in line, crossing the line there in 20th. And you've got Jason Fewens, who's had a horror race tonight as far as where he started and where he would have liked to finish compared to where he is. He's down in 21st place, dropping 19 spots from the start. Then John King, JWM eMotorsports driver, 22nd in the race. Dave Harrell back in 23rd, up one spot from where he started as well. So there with Wayne LeComte behind him. And the drivers we've lost tonight disqualified: Matty Parker and Reg James out of the race without starting, sadly. So Matt Parker disqualified for towing without permission, and that's why he was in a little bit of trouble. Hence why he's no longer in the race tonight. So on your screen, Scott Gamble crossing the line to start lap 47, 4 to go. And I can just already see they've got the spinny wheel, I think, being practiced over there. Van Anthony's just testing the spinny wheel out. Be interesting to see. I asked John which track he would like. He didn't really give me a definitive answer, did he? I'm trying to think, if I put myself in the driver's perspective tonight, what track would I like out of those ones? Well, I think Hockenheim would probably be one of them. Watkins Glen, I think, would be a real level playing field for these drivers. Phillip Island as well. I wouldn't want it to be in a supercar. I wouldn't want it to be probably into Lagos. I wouldn't want to go to VIR, that's for sure. Winton, probably not. And definitely not Circuit of the Americas. One of the flowing tracks like Watkins Glen would be my choice if I was given a couple to choose from. Tim Betts, P10, still can't progress forward to Mark Peck, though the gap's still around half a second. Pecky Performance Racing Car, number 79, Mark Peck. He's been a good sport throughout many, many seasons now, and he continues to. No knocks on the door, top 10, consistent top 10 driver in split 2. Definitely can see him up on the fringes of split 1 and having a crack up there. I'm sure a lot of these drivers are probably thinking, right, once this track selection is done for the pre-qualifying, it's really time to get down to some practice. See if you can't elevate yourself up into the top split. Quite a train of cars here behind Scott Weston, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th, all within about 1.9 seconds. And Scott Weston has had his mirrors full, but he's had the elbows sharpened nicely, right out nice and wide, and Todd Duggan cannot get through. He's led about half the race, I reckon, with this sort of margin between them. It's been a tough little fight. Oh, and just as I've said that and given him a rap for his great driving, he's just slid out of the corner and he's lost that position to Todd, and I think he'll also lose it to, he does, so Weston drops back to 8th. That little mistake's cost him 2 positions, and Peck and Betts will be licking their lips now thinking, right, maybe we can get him too with a last little mistake or two. So Tim Betts pulls out of the tow, down the pit straight. Peck parks the car on the left-hand side in the braking zone. He should be able to switch this back and get a good exit. He does. He gets an overlap now for the double right-hander. Can he go around the outside and just try and keep close to the rear panels of Peck? He can't. Peck moves in front, and there's probably some marbles out there that just make that a little bit hard to pull off that move, but he definitely had the right thought there going into the double right. Wilson says they're probably going to break the spinny wheel before their broadcast starts if they keep playing with it. You're on fire tonight, Will. I enjoy it. Very good. Maybe the drivers that are over in the top chat now can just quickly go through and tell us what you would like the track to be. Jason Fulan says VIR. Roy Clark reckons Mark Dyer would kill the Circuit of the Americas. Surely not. So a lap and a quarter to go here for Scott Gamble. 25.6 seconds the gap. He's pretty much home and hosed, just enjoying this one now. Probably already can taste the champagne. He's got the race suit on. They do a good job. The Evolution Racing team. The car looks fantastic. It's presented so well. But right down to the race suit, the attire, you can see the helmet. Everything is absolutely well painted and embroidered and whatever else you want to say. The team does a great job. And Scott Gamble wants Watkins Glen. There you go. I'm with you, Scotty. I reckon that'd be a killer track to do the pre-testing on, pre-season testing. Final lap of the race, white flag. 1 to go here from Zolder in this split 2 race. Who's going to be the winner? As they jump across the chicane there. Just quick over 3 hours live for 2 splits tonight. And a little bit of news that's just come through from Ben Anthony, which I'm going to share with you all now. But Scott Gamble has been promoted to split 1 from next week. So Scott Gamble getting an automatic promotion up to the top split with his victory tonight, and that is good. So next week we're going to put him up against the best of the best, and he'll have to farewell all his mates from split 2 from the previous 3 or 4 races. And after starting in split 3 this season, getting an automatic elevation to split 2, he's now going to find himself back in the top split from next week. So that's good news for Scott Gamble, and this has been a great performance tonight. 1 corner to go, or 1 little left right onto the pit straight, and he'll take the checker flag by a massive 26 seconds. And it's been a performance and a half. What a win. Put your hands together for Scott Gamble tonight. The checker flag drops and he takes the win at Zolder for round number 8. Split 2 of the V8 Veteran V8 Supercar Series over the age of 40 drivers. And a perfect performance tonight, flag to flag. Pole position to a win, Scott Gamble. P2 is going to go to Travis Hunt. He got the strategy just right tonight for Scorpion eSports. He comes through the final corner now, and he will take out 2nd place in this race. What a great drive, and a well-deserved podium as well. We'll talk to him shortly. And to bring it home for 3rd, it's Andrew Hoffman. And hasn't he really put some good performance in since joining the series? Parking the big rig up, jumping on the sim, getting involved in the V8 Vets, and he's going to take home 3rd tonight with an excellent performance in the Pecky Performance Racing Machine. Puts them up on another podium. The checker flag drops for the Hoff, and 3rd place now in the bag with another virtual trophy in his trophy cabinet. Well done. Paul Hayes, he'll come across the line in 4th place. Well done. Ahead of Jason Dipentito. Todd Duggan gets 6th. And then it's Viger, Weston, Peck, Betts, and Craig Healy up there as well in 11th place. But your race results up on the screen right now, and it is Scotty Gamble, your race winner by 27.2 seconds over Hunt and Hoffman. They're your top 3. We're going to talk to them now. Grab them for a quick chat. What a win. And with the word coming through, he's promoted up to the top split. He must be pretty excited with that. Scotty, back on the top step of the podium, mate, but importantly, next week back up into the top split.
Hi, Luke. Yeah, thanks. I'm looking forward to it. A little surprised, but yeah, it's going to be another challenge, and looking forward to seeing how it goes.
Now, the race, mate, it looked easy just watching your race tonight, but having to work that 3-stop strategy in, was there any point where you thought, hang on, Travis Hunt may get the jump on me here?
I did, actually. Before his 2nd stop, I was watching his timings, and I wasn't sure, and I just thought, no, I've got to stick to my guns and go with what I know, and a little bit of gut feeling with it. And but yeah, I was a little bit worried about him in his 2nd stint, that's for sure.
Fantastic race tonight. We're going to grab, we've got the Hoff here, so we'll quickly grab him in. So, Andrew, well done, P3 tonight. We don't have Travis with us, but, mate, good to see you on the podium again tonight, and up 3 spots too for Pecky Performance Racing. So, well done, Hoff.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, Scotty and Travis are, the level above, so aiming for 3rd, is about all I can do, really. So, over the moon with it.
Oh, it was good to watch out there tonight, man. You should be very proud on that performance, so well done. Let's do some thank yous because we've got to move on to the Split 3 broadcast, and I'm spent, Scotty. It's been a big night of racing. Split 1 was incredible, and Split 2 just as good. Who would you like to thank, mate, for Logitech G Evolution Racing Team?
Yeah, Luke. Look, thank you for backing up. You know, 2 broadcasts in a row. It's been a great effort, and enjoyed watching both of them. Down to, I'd like to thank ERT, Evolution Racing Team, the guys there, a fantastic, great bunch of people. Also like to thank, Logitech G, Harvey Norman, Galvanise, AMD, Acer, and Pant Racing Fuel as our sponsors. And of course the admin over at V8 Veterans. They made this race very interesting and a good change up to the series.
Do you like the 3-stop, just quickly, Scotty, are you looking forward to that into the longer races especially?
Yeah, I think there's a place for it. It changes it up. It gives opportunities. Some people nailed the pit stops and the strategy with it, and some people got found out with it, which was good. You know, changed up the order, and good on the admin team for trying something new.
I guess it'll also mean people will really start thinking about how to plan out these 3 stops as well for these next races coming up to finish out this season 11. So I like it. I think it's good. It's going to change it up. It just, anytime you change the normal and make people think, I think is a good thing for a series like this. So very good. What are your thoughts on it, Hoff?
Yeah, absolutely love it. Did it at Road Atlanta, so that was actually a good test for it. So yeah, I love the 3-stop strategy.
Excellent, mate. Who would you like to thank for your P3 tonight for Pecky Performance Racing?
Yeah, Quantum Tent Solutions, Peggy's Performance. Oh, jeez, it's been a rough day. Peggy's Flower Cast Bay Retreat, Fletcher Jr., and Steel Line, who's coming on board as a sponsor. So, yeah, thank you.
Excellent job. And final words, Scott, we close it all out, mate. Next week we're Split 1 for you, so you're going to be up against some competitors which you probably haven't raced against since the last time before you bowed out of sim racing, yeah?
Yeah, mate. Yeah, it's going to be a whole new challenge. I'm probably lacking a little bit of consistency throughout the race where I'd like to be, but over time there's room for improvement, and we'll keep working on it and doing our best. So, yeah, looking forward to it, mate.
Can't wait till next week, mate. See you butting horns against the guys you used to always race against, and it's going to be excellent racing. We've still got 3 rounds to go in this season 11, and also some big news tonight on the Split 3 broadcast coming up for the pre-qualifying tracks for next season, which is an important aspect. Some drivers will like them, some may hate them, so it's a bit of a luck draw, but we'll see how that turns out. Thanks to our podium for coming in. Scotty Gamble with the win tonight. Travis Hunt, who couldn't make it in for a chat, but got P2, and Andrew Hoffman, your 3rd place. Congratulations, guys. Catch you later.
Cheers.
Cheers, mate. Right, that's it for tonight here on RACESTARS TV. It's been a big one. Big thanks to all the people in the chat. Hey, guess what? YouTube just reconnected. I can see Jason there. Thanks for the comments. Ben Anthony as well. Hoff and Will Wilson. He's there as well. And thanks everyone that's hung around. It's been fun. It's been 2 good races. Scotty Gamble too strong in the split. 2 race, and Stephen Varga, well, he was absolutely phenomenal earlier tonight, just edging out Greg Favell for Split 1. Until next time, I'm Luke, this is RACESTARS TV. Head across now to the Driver's Lounge. Go and look up WKMP TV on YouTube. They'll be live, I reckon, in the next 5 or 6 minutes, if they're not live already. So I think about 1:45 was the plan to go live, and you can go and check that out for Split 3, and of course that spinny wheel of fortune or misfortune, depending on which way you look at it. Okay, till next time, I'm Luke. Catch ya. Good night.
Trans